Chapter 977. When the people around heard that, they were happy. The emperor was interrogating the case personally, and they could even listen in. This was something that they might not encounter even once in a lifetime. Therefore, they all quieted down and gathered their children. Then someone brought a stove over. The several families gathered around the stove to warm themselves, while waiting to see what Fong Kong would say. This was a big piece of news. If there was a storyteller, he could even say something like the downfall of a provincial governor, or Yuan Zhou, the same sky, but different face, and so on. Sit. Li Longji sat down first. His chair was naturally different from other people's. He ordered Fong Kong. This sinner doesn't dare. Fong Kong looked at the stool beside him, and continued to kneel there. Then I'll let someone else interrogate you. What if you melt the snow? Can the children still make a snowman? Li Longji was still in the mood to joke. When he said that, Panna remembered that the snowman was not finished yet. She pulled Xiaobei's clothes again and said, Su run to Su run. Good. You want to make a snowman, right? Make one now. Now no one will disturb us. We can't even make a snowman secretly. You have to force me to reveal my identity. Do you think it's easy for me? If Xiaobei did not go to Fong Kong, how would he be interrogated? He pulled Pan and walked toward the snowman, that was still a little bit away from completion. No one disturbed her. Moreover, everyone stopped what they were doing. Who dared to continue making a snowman in front of the emperor? In the entire Tang dynasty, only she dared to do so. If Li Longji was not busy, she would even ask Li Longji what the snowman was and ask him for advice. As a result, in this solemn occasion, the 11 children were busy. Laughter could be heard from time to time. Fong Kong finally sat down. He lowered his head and told the story in detail. Someone beside him was in charge of recording. Fong Kong said that he rose from the county magistrate step by step. He rose from the 7th rank to the 4th rank in 15 years, and became the provincial governor of a province, the provincial governor of Yuanzhou. But when he sat in this position, he found that he could not smoothly pass down his orders. He was either dissuaded by the departments, or told by the county officials that it was difficult. As a result, he did nothing as the provincial governor for the past year. All he did was deal with trivial matters. It was impossible for him to carry out policies that benefited the people. Furthermore, he had also taken on a lot of responsibilities for his subordinates. Last year, he had actually failed to pass the evaluation. If this were to happen again this year, his official position would be over. Just as he was feeling frustrated, an opportunity came. Someone came to him and said that they could help him get some political credits. What he had to do was very simple. He just had to admit that a residential area was going to be built with the support of the state government. It was so simple. And this part of the house was not only for living, but there was also a lake in the middle for people to play in. There were also other auxiliary facilities, such as a supermarket, a hospital, a school, and so on. This achievement seemed to come too quickly, so fast that Fong Kong couldn't believe it. However, when he asked about the other party's identity, he couldn't help but believe it, because the other party's surname was Wan. This surname was nothing, but what was truly awe-inspiring was that this person was ranked 77th on the top-ranking list of billionaires. Fong Kong understood very well that those who could enter this ranking list were all amazing people. In reality, no one was poor, and they could easily take out hundreds of thousands of strings of cash. Although the most amazing person in the world was not on this ranking list, but outside of it, it was impossible for that person to come personally to help a small provincial governor like him. Just like that, Fong Kong's heart was filled with anticipation and uneasiness, and he chose to believe the other party for the time being. He wanted the other party to give him something concrete, such as money or a detailed plan. He didn't have to wait too long. After the spring of this year, when the spring plowing had just ended, and when there was a lot of free time, the other party found people from Zhengzheng Construction Group and started to build the houses on that piece of land. He went to take a look and stayed there for a few days. After confirming that Zhengzheng Construction Group was real, he felt even more relieved. Thus, he listened to the person surnamed Wan and sent an order to the provincial governor, saying that this group of buildings was jointly developed by the government and Zhengzhen Construction Group, and that the people could live there. When summer came, because it was only a one-story house, the work was done quickly. Zhengzhen Construction Group finished building the outermost circle of houses on the land, and the quality was not to be questioned. Zhengzhen Construction Group even gave them a matching drainage system, and according to the plan, they built a methane pool for every 10 houses. Just as Fong Kong was feeling happy, the people from Zhengzhen Construction Group left, leaving a large area in the middle without houses, and even more so beside the lake. Why did they leave when they weren't done yet? It was a political achievement project, and he was counting on it to make his evaluation reach good this winter. If they left, wouldn't he be good? And could only go down? He could only look for the businessman surnamed Wan and ask him what was going on. The other party calmly said that the flow of funds was inconvenient, so it was temporarily impossible. He would wait until tomorrow, and he would definitely be able to provide the money next year. The Wan guy could wait, but he couldn't. He didn't know where he would be next year, so he could only treat the other party to a meal and confide in him about his difficulties. When the Wan guy heard this, he was also worried, but he also helplessly said that he really couldn't take out the money. After a few more meals, the other party finally helped him think of a way. The money couldn't be taken out for the time being, but they could find other ways to borrow money, such as the Great Tang Bank. Fong Kong went to help with this matter, and the result was needless to say. The Great Tang Bank sent people to look at it, and after looking at it, they said that it was impossible. This project was not profitable, and if they really gave a loan, the bank would leave behind unsold houses and not do it. The Great Tang Bank was not expensive, and the local government was not in charge. If they said that they couldn't take out the money, then they definitely wouldn't. Fong Kong was worried again. Just as he was worried for 2 days, the Wan guy came again, and he looked very happy. He said that there was another way, and that was to borrow money from the people. Although the interest was higher, he could still lend it out. Then lend it, hurry up and go, Fong Kong urged at that time. However, the Wan guy said that he couldn't lend it out, because he couldn't even pay the monthly interest. What if he lent it out? His property had already been mortgaged to the bank, and the money could be used for other things. Fong Kong was angry. Since you can't lend it out, why are you so happy? Just as he was about to question him, the Wan guy said again. And this time, he said a very good idea. Since the people couldn't lend it out directly, they could change it a little. Yuanzhou had a large forest under the control of the government, and the government couldn't use such property to borrow money from the bank. But if it became a person's property, the bank would pay for it as a mortgage. Therefore, they changed the idea slightly. First, the government issued a certificate of sale, saying that the forest belonged to a person, and this person would be the person who borrowed money from the people. He could use the forest to borrow money from the bank, and then take out the money. Part of it would be used to continue the construction of the land, and the other part would be used to continue borrowing money from the people. This way, they wouldn't have to pay him or the bank any interest. The bank's interest would be paid by the person who borrowed money from the people, and the rest of the money would be lent out. If he earned a lot, he could even take out a part of the money to help the government repair the houses, buy some office supplies, and provide benefits for the people in the government. Fong Kong understood the other party's meaning. The so-called benefits were money, and he should be able to get the majority of it. After thinking about it again, he gritted his teeth and gave up the large area of mountains and forests. He didn't take a single copper coin from them. He only needed to wait for the land to be completed before he bought it back. With this clause in the contract, everything seemed to be perfect. They were very impressed with the Wan guy for being able to use such a method. And then, the Wan guy didn't build the houses, but followed the person who borrowed money from the people? Li Longji asked when he heard this. The surrounding people were all dumbfounded. So this was actually possible? The monopoly ranking list was indeed extraordinary. He had played a lot of tricks in the beginning, and left with the money in the end. Impressive. While everyone was admiring, a woman's voice rang out from not far away. That's impossible. If that was the case, he wouldn't be able to enter the monopoly ranking list. Everyone looked over, and saw a man and a woman. They were very young, and the woman was beautiful while the man was handsome. When they stood together, they looked like a golden couple. The man seemed to be still sleeping, and was yawning. "Cuckoo, why are the two of you here? Aren't you going to sleep?" Li Longji asked when he saw the two of them. "I've slept for more than 2 hours, so I can't sleep anymore. I'll sleep for a while after lunch. Otherwise I'll be awake at night." This one guy's calculations are pretty good. Wang Wan rubbed her face with her hand and yawned as well. She asked Fong Kong, "Did he start building that place again, but not with Zhengzheng construction?" Fong Kong nodded vigorously. Yes, Lord Wang is right. He found a group of people to work on the houses, but they weren't from Zhengzheng construction. When I asked him, he said that Zhengzheng construction couldn't find the time at the moment, and had to deal with it first. Otherwise, when Zhengzheng construction came, it would be next year before they finished building the houses. That's right. In the end, he finished building the houses very quickly. Then he realized that no one was willing to move in, so he asked you to make a compulsory order. He said that if the officials guaranteed that they would live a better life, so you did. In the end you received a large sum of money, right? Wang Wan asked again. Zhang Xiaobao didn't have any intention to speak. This case was too classic, so classic that he didn't want to play with it. At that time, the officials had already learned to be smart. If they wanted to use this to cheat money, they would die of exhaustion. Yes, Fong Kong continued nodding. He sold the land for a very high price, then took the money and ran away. My mountain and forest belonged to the private bank. When the people realized that the quality of the houses they lived in wasn't good, they said that the officials lied to them, and that it wasn't built by Zhengzheng construction. Just as I was fretting, the people from the various departments criticized me, and said that they would help me think of a solution. They told me to come out, and take a stroll, so that the angry commoners wouldn't destroy the yamen. I listened to them and came out with money. Some of the money in the yamen was given by that one guy. After Wang Wan heard this, she sighed and looked at Zhang Xiaobao. Why are you looking at me? It's not like I cheated. My methods are too bad. Why would I use such a method? That's scolding me. The private bank can't return the land. These are two different things. The private bank followed the normal procedures. There was no mistake in the review process, so naturally, the money should be released. Zhang Xiaobao thought that Wang Wan was blaming him, and hurriedly tried to avoid it. I'm not talking about you. I'm saying that liars really cheat people. It's impossible for all the officials to be smarter than the liars. It's normal to be cheated. Don't the officials want some political achievements? How difficult is it? Wang Wan continued. Zhang Xiaobao continued to refute. He knew that Wang Wan was talking about him. Back then, his methods of deception were even more subtle and incisive. You can't say that. First of all, Fong Kong cares too much about his official position. He's afraid that he'll fall from the position of provincial governor. Second of all, he was not capable enough. He was actually taken over by his subordinates. What's the point of being an official? If it were me, I would have gotten a rope and found a good place. Of course, the local officials of Yuanzhou were even more foolish. In order to send Fong Kong away, so that they could have more time to continue doing bad things, and then push all the blame to Fong Kong, they couldn't have sent him to Jili province. Don't you know that we are in Jili province? The probability of being discovered will increase. Look, as expected, he was caught by Xiaobei. Now no one can escape. Let's all be unlucky together. As for that guy surnamed Wan, I have to check whether he is a fake. Maybe he is not in the ranking list, or maybe his position is higher on the ranking list, and he is just using someone else's name. His childish actions were a provocation to me. Look at how capable he is. He knows how to deceive others, and he even played many tricks that he thinks are amazing. There's no need to talk about me. Let's just talk about someone with your intelligence. What's wrong with my IQ? Is it lower than yours? Wang Wan couldn't accept it. You're wrong. I'm not talking about IQ. You're better than me, okay? I'm talking about experience. Yes, experience. With your experience, if you want to cheat money, you're better than him. Zhang Xiaobao immediately changed his words. Wang Wan rolled her eyes at Zhang Xiaobao and stopped asking about IQ. She asked, then what should we do? Li Longji also looked over. and waited for Zhang Xiaobao to say something. What should we do? Do what you need to do. Investigate Fong Kong. Don't let any of his subordinates go. Also, don't forget about that person who borrowed money. After all, he has signed the contract. If he runs away, we will issue a warrant for his arrest, Zhang Xiaobao said. What about that swindler surnamed Wan? Wang Wan asked. What evidence do you have to prove that he cheated? Is there a contract? If there is, he didn't follow the contract. Then he cheated and we have to catch him. If there isn't, we can only say that he bribed people. Similarly, we have to find evidence for bribing people. Zhang Xiaobao spread his hands. Fong Kong admired Zhang Xiaobao, and Wang Wan from the bottom of his heart. Look at them. They could guess the ending just by listening to the beginning. When he saw Zhang Xiaobao talking about evidence, he interrupted. No, there is no evidence. Even if he bribed people, there is no evidence because he didn't give the money to us directly. Instead, he said that he would give it to the government for public welfare. However, he didn't ask for the receipt, and we didn't give it to him because we knew what was going on with the money. See? The matter is very simple. He didn't cheat or bribe people. Otherwise, show us the evidence. Zhang Xiaobao's words sounded like sarcasm. Then what should we do? We can't let him get away with it, right? Wang Wan asked again. There's nothing we can do. If he can cheat, that's his ability. Unless he cheats again and someone catches him, we can't convict him. Of course, you can find him, tie him up, and interrogate him. He might admit to all kinds of crimes if you really want to start with this. Forget it. If we start with this, there will be a lot of false and wrongful cases. I'll listen to you. Forget it. As for how the imperial court will do it, we don't have to care. Wang Wan said helplessly. When the people around heard this, they also couldn't think of any good ideas. If there was someone to blame, it was Fong Kong. He didn't have the ability, and in the end, he lost the land in the manor, and even harmed the people. Hearing his words, they felt pity for him, but also felt that he was even more hateful. Xiao Bei, who was building a snowman, also heard her brother and sister's words. She turned around to take a look, then turned back to continue building. She didn't believe that her brother would let that person go. She just didn't want to alert the enemy. Li Longji waved his hand. Hand it over to the Supreme Court. Arrest all the officials of the province. Don't let a single one of them go. Xiaobao, come with me. Fong Kong was taken away. Someone would help send his son back to his home, and at the same time, give him protection. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan followed Li Longji to the dining hall, intending to find a quiet place to talk. The others were busy again. Each of them felt that they didn't waste their money. Not only did they see the emperor, but they also listened to an extremely mysterious case. Before coming here, they didn't even dare to think that they would have such a fortuitous encounter. Xiao Bei and the others began to build the second snowman. The first one was already done. It was very beautiful and exquisite. It even wore a red scarf and a small cap. Its big eyes seemed to be able to speak because of Xiao Zhu's drawing. Although they had only captured one of them, there were still some bold ones. A little girl about Xiao Bei's age ran over from afar. She circled the first snowman twice before she moved closer to Xiao Bei and said, "You're so amazing. Even the officials are afraid of you. You're even better at building snowmen. Can you help me make one? Why don't you bring me along? I won't cause any trouble. Really, if you don't believe me, pinky promise." Xiao Bei agreed readily. She brought another person along to play, and even pinky promise. She was like a completely different person compared to when she was talking to Fong Kong. In the end, more children ran over and joined in building snowmen. This was especially true for the dozen children who came from Luzhou. They surrounded Xiao Bei and the others and kept talking. At this moment, Li Longji and Zhang Xiaobao found a small room and sat down. Zhang Xiaobao ordered 2 bowls of hot soup and drank with Wang Wan. After they finished half a bowl of soup, they stopped to rest. Li Longji said, "Xiaobao, how should we deal with that one guy? We still don't know what his surname is. Let's find him first. A person like him will definitely do it a second time. When he sees that nobody is condemning him, he will continue to look for opportunities to make his move. I'll wait for him to make his move. If I can't make him bankrupt, I'll write Zhang upside down." Zhang Xiaobao placed his hands on the bowl as he spoke. Wang Wan chimed in. That's right. If we don't deal with him, more people will be willing to take the risk. Who in Great Tang dares to be a swindler? We'll spoil them. Li Longji liked to see how confident Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were. He agreed. I have the same intention as well. What about the people who were forced to buy houses under Yuan Zhou's coercion? Since they bought the houses, they can just stay there. It's not like they lost anything. It's just that the quality of the houses is slightly lacking. They just need to be renovated and strengthened. If anyone doesn't want the houses, I'm willing to add 5% to the original price. Zhang Xiaobao said nonchalantly. Xiaobao, if you can add 5% to the purchase price, I'm willing to add 10%. I believe in you. I reckon the property prices there will rise greatly after they find out that you're interested in purchasing them. Li Longji said with a smile. Chapter 978. Li Longji had no doubts about Zhang Xiaobao's ability to make money. If Zhang Xiaobao said that the place was good, then it was definitely good. He just didn't know how good it was. When Gao Lisher saw the emperor making a joke, he also said, Xiaobao, you have to leave 2 good houses for me as well. Unexpectedly, Zhang Xiaobao nodded seriously. That's settled. Foster father, I plan to build your house in the water and create an island. Your Majesty's house will be on the shore. That will be a large piece of land. It will be useful when the time comes. When Li Longji saw how certain Zhang Xiaobao was, he hurriedly waved his hand. That won't do. Why would I need to fight for a place with the commoners? So long as I am in Great Tang, I will be able to find a place to stay. There is no need for me to fight for a place with the commoners. Gao Lisher was also stunned for a moment. He didn't expect Xiaobao to really want to find a place. He also refused. I don't want the house in the middle of the lake. Just kidding. Xiaobao, you said that the house is good. There has to be a reason. Wang Wan knew why that place was so expensive. She explained. Because a railway is going to be built there. If the population there is concentrated, not only will it be more convenient to manage, it will also provide a lot of collective resources. For example, businesses like the retail industry will be able to develop there. In truth, Fong Kong has done a good deed. When the railway is built there will be an additional station. Even if the local government doesn't directly support the local economy, it will still develop passively due to the concentration of the population. Nobody will be able to stop that. When the railway is built next year, the entire Yuanzhou will be able to rely on that place to develop its economy. That place will become a transportation and passenger center. When Li Longji and Gao Lisher heard Wang Wan's words, realization dawned on them. It was no wonder they weren't worried when they heard that the commoners were being scammed. They were only angry. Initially, they thought that Xiaobao was doing this because he had a lot of money and wanted to help the commoners. That was why they weren't worried. Now it was clear that this had nothing to do with Xiaobao's money. Rather, it was the future development of that place that was approved by Xiaobao and Cuckoo. If what the two of them said was true, Fong Kong should be praised. That was what Gao Lisher thought. He asked first, Xiaobao, in that case, not only did that liar in Fong Kong not commit any crime, but they also did a good deed. Should they be rewarded? Zhang Xiaobao shook his head vigorously. These are 2 different things. Speaking of Fong Kong, his motives were good, but when he found out that something had gone wrong, he began to act recklessly. This shows that he is not capable enough to manage a province. Officials shouldn't complain when they are overthrown by the local authorities. If they don't have the ability, then they shouldn't sit in that position. If they can't produce results after sitting in that position, then they are really harming the people. What about the swindler? Gao Lisher asked. A swindler is a swindler. His motives are not pure. Although the result is good, in the beginning, his purpose was not for the good of others, but to make money for himself. I'm very puzzled now. Since he has the ability to cheat money, why doesn't he earn it himself? If he can really get Fong Kong to gather the population of that place, he can even control part of the local economy. Zhang Xiaobao had an indescribable feeling about this swindler. Should he praise him for being smart, or call him stupid? Wang Wan was also confused. She said, That's right. Why? No matter what a person does, there must be a reason. Even if he is mentally ill, he has his own inner world that controls his actions. Doesn't he know that once such a big case is exposed, he will definitely enter Xiao Bao's line of sight? Could it be that he wants to challenge you and feels that you are not worthy of being on the top of the list of billionaires? If that is his purpose, then he is too hateful. If he wants to challenge you, there are many ways. Why does he need to use the lives of the common people as a foil? Hateful, we also find it hateful. We remember that Xiao Bao has never refused anyone's challenge. In the game of Monopoly, anyone in the top 100 can apply for a challenge. Why can't that swindler just challenge Xiao Bao once? We are even willing to fork out the money, 1,000 strings of coins per person, and not to reveal his identity. He can direct others to invest and do business in real life for a few months, or even half a year, and see who earns more in the end. If he really wants to attract Xiao Bao's attention, then he can go and cheat the Japanese, cheat the countries in the Southwest. If he wants to compete with Xiao Bao in trickery, does Xiao Bao have to cheat in the Great Tang? If that is the case, we will not agree. Xiao Bao's trickery is enough to destroy a country. Xiao Bao is not interested in the trickery of a swindler. Li Longji followed Wang Wan's train of thought, and the more he thought about it, the angrier he became. Did Xiao Bao still need to cheat in the Great Tang? If he really said that he was short of money, at least half of the merchants in the Great Tang would contact him and offer him money to spend. If what Cuckoo said was true, then he would not let him off easily. He was clearly a scourge. The people in the court were working hard to develop the Great Tang, but he jumped out to cause trouble. Gao Lishur looked at the soup in Zhang Xiaobao's bowl. It was probably cold. Feeling sorry for his son, he asked someone to send another bowl. When the soup arrived, he first said to Zhang Xiaobao, "Drink it hot. You don't sleep much, drink the soup to soothe your stomach." After Zhang Xiaobao took the soup, he said, "Could it be that he didn't enter the top 100? After all, it is not easy to enter the top 100. Any random person is rich, and he thinks that he is very powerful. But he doesn't have much money at the moment. So he came up with this plan? Then Xiao Bao can't possibly say that anyone can challenge him in all aspects, right?" Wang Wan said helplessly. "If that's the case, Xiao Bao won't have the time to do anything else. He will be playing with them all day." Li Longji also started thinking about the swindler. Suddenly he said, "Could it be that he owes someone money and is in urgent need of money to pay it back? That's not right. He has been in Yuanzhou for a long time. It takes time to build a house, and it takes a lot of time to gather the people here. I guess he wants to do something big, but doesn't have the money. Therefore, he decided to lie and use the money to do proper business. When he has more money, he will return the money to the people of Yuanzhou. At the very least, he can make up for it." Zhang Xiaobao lowered his head and drank a mouthful of soup before saying, "Let's not think about him for now. If he doesn't have the money and still wants to do business, he can get a loan from the bank. If he can really come up with a perfect plan like Yuanzhou's, the bank will definitely tell me. I have seen the plan and feel that it is feasible. Even if he doesn't have the money, I will lend it to him and let him be in charge of this project. The plan is truly perfect. There is no need for him to be a mortgage. I will give him a sufficient salary. So what if he is a manager?" That's right. Xiao Bao does things based on the actual situation. This is definitely a good project. There is no need for him to be a mortgage. Let's wait until we find the person to do it. Gao Lishur agreed with his godson's words. Thus, everyone treated this person as a mystery for the time being, waiting to slowly solve it. Zhang Xiaobao gulped down all the soup, rubbed his stomach, and felt comfortable. He continued the previous topic and said, "The matter of buying a house for Her Majesty has to be put on the agenda. I think Xiaobei and the others are almost done with the animation. They have also made great progress in the research of film, without taking any detours. Xiaobao, I have already said that I am not buying a house. Are you thinking that the bank is not earning enough, and you want me to sell houses? Then I will be too despicable." Li Longji was very unhappy when he saw Zhang Xiaobao bringing up the matter of buying a house again. If this is the first, how can the people live in peace? Zhang Xiaobao smiled. "Your Majesty is a good emperor. You know how to care for the lives of the people. However, I did not say that you will only sell after you buy a house. You don't have to buy too many houses. You don't have to buy too many houses in one place. You have to buy houses in many places in Great Tang. Otherwise, are you going to forcefully seize other people's houses? If you don't have a house, how can I help you advertise? Advertise? What advertise? Li Longji was puzzled. Gao Lisher thought very quickly. This was because Zhang Xiaobao had already started to advertise for the emperor. For example, in the newspapers, every week, there would be a paragraph describing how good the emperor was, and how the emperor was taking measures to care for the people. This was especially so when the money earned by the bank was used for disaster relief or road repair. They would mention that the emperor was personally involved in this matter. This made the people feel that the emperor was not only in the capital, but also by their side, constantly watching over them. However, Gao Lisher did not understand what this had to do with buying a house. He looked at Zhang Xiaobao in astonishment and waited for him to explain. You speak. We thought of this together. Zhang Xiaobao said to Wang Wan. All right, I will speak. Your Majesty, Xiaobao's intention is to record you on film in the future and make it into a movie. You will understand when the movie is shown to Xiaobei and the others. This movie requires a special place to show it. There are also mobile movies, but we can't let people run around and show it to the people just to take a look. Furthermore, there is another problem at the back. When the time comes, the first movie to be made will be your speech. This will further raise your status in the hearts of the people. It will be best if you can suppress the political influence of our Zhang family and Wang family and consolidate the imperial power. At that time, the people will be able to see what you look like, just like a real person. Unless the film is not good enough, it will be better to make the people hear your voice and see your appearance. Only then will the Tang Empire be stable. Otherwise, when Xiao Bao and I make plans for the next step, it will have a huge impact on your power. What if I take things too hard and rebel? Ha ha ha. When Li Longji heard Wang Wan's last sentence, he laughed. If it were anyone else, even if they only had 1/10 of the power of the Zhang family and Wang family, he would still worry about whether they could rebel or not. However, when it came to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, even if Wang Wan disrespectfully said that they wanted to rebel to the emperor, he would not believe it. After so many years, the two of them had many chances to rebel, but they never used them. They also never respected him like other people. In fact, they would always do something to attack him and guide him, allowing him to see many things that he could not see in the past. He also never treated the two of them as real officials. In terms of age, he treated them as close juniors. When he asked them about the plan, he also treated them as close friends who could talk about ordinary things. This was a relationship that could not be accurately defined. Gao Lisher also laughed. You can't say this to others outside. We have to respect His Majesty. We have always respected him. Zhang Xiaobao continued. What we said is true. We are not joking. Because we need to wait for the Ministry of Works to improve a little. From then on, we will create our own heavy industry. Yes, we have even thought of a name. It will be called Great Tang Heavy Industry. Cuckoo and I request that this heavy industry must be in our hands, just like the Great Tang Bank. Because its influence is too great, people who do not understand the heavy industry system will never understand what it represents. Just like agriculture, it is the foundation of a country's survival. Li Longji sat up even straighter and carefully listened to every word Zhang Xiaobao said. Your Majesty, foster father, the most direct manifestation of the heavy industry is in the military. Every time a new technology is developed and mastered, it must first serve the military. This is a fact that cannot be avoided when humans first started using tools. The first tool that humans used was for hunting. Even if it was just a piece of stone, when it was first used, it definitely would not be used to carve art. If that was really the case, then the level of human thinking would be too high. Since it involves the military, it must be kept a secret. I really do not trust others, and I do not want to leave it to others. One day, another country will push out 100 cannons and place them in front of our army. Apart from the military, the second is agriculture and transportation. Last time in the capital, Cuckoo already told you too that diesel engines can be used to farm, and they can also be used to pull train carriages. This is called an internal combustion engine. When it is divided into sections, its speed is so fast that the two of you cannot even imagine. It can be said that whoever controls Great Tang heavy industry will control at least half of Great Tang. The reason why it is not all of Great Tang is because advanced weapons are not omnipotent. Unless you want to kill everyone, the will of the people will not change. If it does change, then it is because Cuckoo and I have not done enough propaganda for you. Zhang Xiaobao's words shocked Li Longji and Gao Lishur. Of course, what shocked them was not the words, but the effect that could be achieved. Li Longji knew that the Ministry of Works was important, but he had never thought that after controlling it and forming the heavy industry system that Zhang Xiaobao had described, he could easily shake a dynasty. He suddenly felt cold and asked someone to bring him a bowl of hot soup. Holding the bowl in his hand, he pondered for a while and said, "We understand. Great Tang heavy industry will be placed in your hands. To be honest, other than you and Cuckoo, no one else will be allowed, not even my son. We look forward to you quickly completing the Great Tang heavy industry. When you go back, release the notice and go to the original place of the Tujue. Xiaobao, your father should not enter the Hall of Secretaries and should stay in the Ministry of Works. We will send another 5,000 imperial guards. Let alone people, even birds will not be allowed to fly over. Shoot them all down. Yes, shoot them down. Oh, let Shuiyan go. We believe that Shuiyan will not let a single bird go. It seems that we have to go to the experimental site of the Ministry of Works more often when we are free. It's too scary." Gao Lishur nodded vigorously. He never doubted that his godson and daughter-in-law would lie when they were serious. He was being modest when he said that half of the country was good. It was because his daughter-in-law, who was very familiar with military affairs, dared to use a backward military force to challenge the advanced guns and cannons. Moreover, they were full of confidence, making the generals feel as if they were facing a great enemy even before the competition. The simplest example was the sword competition at Mount Hua. Although his daughter-in-law fought fiercely in Tubo, and his son did not go easy, many people knew that the sword competition at Mount Hua was the reason why Tubo and the Tujue gave up resisting. At that time, when the cannons were used, the confidence of the kings of the two countries was shattered. They did not know how to resist the power of the cannons. In their countries, there was no one like his daughter-in-law who dared to say that weapons are not everything. When Li Longji spoke, he felt that he could not control the Great Tang. It was developing too fast. As the Zhang family and Wang family developed at an unimaginable speed, the Great Tang also developed along with them. When he came back to his senses and looked at Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan again, Li Longji was very worried. If the two of them suddenly disappeared, what would happen to the Great Tang? Who would be able to manage the banks? Who would be able to guide the research of the Sanongxi? Who would be able to command the Ministry of Works? When he thought of this, Li Longji hesitated and advised, "Xiaobao, Cuckoo, why don't the two of you stop fighting Duosher and let others do it? The two of you can stay in the capital. We can build a big and beautiful house for the two of you in the palace. When the time comes, the two of you can live there every day. Arrange for your family's protection team to be sent there. We will also send the Chamberlain of Imperial Insignia. Occasionally, you can go out and stroll around the East and West markets. We will allow the two of you to kill someone in advance if you suspect that they are trying to harm you. It doesn't matter even if you kill the wrong person. It is too dangerous to run around outside. Not to mention that someone is trying to harm the two of you. What if you have a headache or a fever? If you are too slow, you can easily lose your life. The two of you tell me which place in the palace is good." Li Longji felt that only when he could see Xiaobao and Cuckoo every day would he be able to sleep soundly. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan glanced at each other. They were both touched and amused. Was there a need to go to this extent? Even pandas did not receive such treatment. How could they be killed in advance? Could it be that they were surrounded by bad people? "Your Majesty, there is no need to worry. Cuckoo and I are fine. We know how to protect ourselves. The main problem now is that other people are learning too slowly. When more people know about industry and finance, Your Majesty will not have to worry anymore. Zhang Xiaobao consoled. How can I not worry? I do not trust others, but I trust you all. If others learn too much and cause trouble, what should I do? For example, that swindler. He did not have a bank in the past, so how could he come up with such a method? Li Longji retorted. The more he spoke, the more he felt that he was right. If he wanted to protect Xiao Bao and Cuckoo at all times, it would be worth it even if he had to use a huge amount of manpower and resources. Your Majesty, we will strengthen our own protection. It is not that we do not want others to attack Duoshi, but we need to do it quickly, so that we can take the time to transport it back. If others attack, they will not be familiar with it, and it will be a waste of time. Wang Wan persuaded Li Longji. Zhang Xiaobao did not want to persuade him back and forth on this topic. He said at the side, let's talk about the movie. This movie is very interesting. If one does not know the movie very well, it will be easy to mistake it for the real deal. Let's talk about how to buy a house. First, you have to choose a place with a relatively dense population. Otherwise, if others want to watch the movie, they will have to travel a long distance and waste time. Even if there are only a few dozen people in a remote village, you still have to let them watch the movie. Doesn't Your Majesty have a pear garden? Follow Your Majesty's pear garden to other places. The pear garden cannot be only for Your Majesty to watch. The last sentence was considered a criticism. Li Longji nodded sincerely. Yes, the pear garden is not my pear garden. It is the pear garden of the Tang dynasty. It is the same as what you said about spiritual civilization. I understand immediately. You want more people to have more fun when they are full and warm. You can buy whatever house you want. My money is all in your hands. I believe you will not ask me to lose too much. There is still money left for disaster relief and road repair for the people. Oh, if I want to build a house, I will need to have money as well. There is also travel. At this point, Li Longji suddenly realized something and said to Zhang Xiaobao, Xiaobao, I was wrong earlier. I was not asking you to lose a lot. What I wanted to say was don't earn too much. Especially when you are showing it to remote places, it is best not to ask for money. I was confused earlier. How can you do something like losing money? It is the good fortune of the people of the Tang dynasty that you are not like that swindler. It is too difficult to ask you to lose money, unless you are willing to do it yourself. Wang Wan laughed softly. Zhang Xiaobao was depressed. Was he a coin-making machine? However, he could not agree to Li Longji's request. He shrugged and said, Your Majesty, it is impossible not to earn money. I can guarantee that the people who watch it will not have to spend a single copper coin, especially those in remote places. Not only will they not have to spend money, but they will also be able to bring along the gifts that Your Majesty has prepared for them. In places with a lot of people, you will have to charge a little fee. Otherwise, they will crowd to watch it again after watching it once. Others will not be able to squeeze in. Such people are very annoying. However, no matter what I do, the movie will definitely make money. At the same time, it will provide a channel for others to make money. For example, there will be people selling snacks at places where the movie is shown. I can't possibly chase after them. What I can guarantee is that the fee will be very low. For most people, the fee will be low. For those who have good seats, the fee will be high. If I do not charge a high fee, there will be people who will specially go to those good seats and sell them to others at a high price. The most important fee does not come from this. In fact, this is also very important. But if you don't allow it, then I will not earn it. There is one aspect of money that I must earn. If I don't earn money, the merchants of Tang dynasty will hate me to death. That is advertising. I have thought about it. Since the movie can create my appearance and voice, it can also help the merchants create the advertisements that they need. The fee will probably not be low. No matter how low the cost is, I will have to charge more. Otherwise, any random person will be able to take up the advertising spots. Li Longji's thinking was very comprehensive now. He immediately thought of this problem. He could even think of the advertisements that would be hung in the venue when the movie was shown. Yes, if someone is willing to do advertisements, I will not stop them. It will be fine when they make a television show. How do you make that thing? The principle is very simple, but the operation is very troublesome. When the time comes, Your Majesty will need to record at least once a month, and then send it to various places to broadcast. Your movie will not have advertisements, and you will maintain a serious atmosphere. You don't have to worry about other programs. Cuckoo and I have a lot of good scripts. Yes, scripts, all kinds of scripts. But we will create a script that specifically highlights the beautiful life of Tang Dynasty. We will try our best not to reflect too deep of a social connotation. There is no need for that. We will create a series that praises every industry. Praises are not the goal. The goal is to let the people in the industries that are being praised know how much they have contributed to Tang Dynasty. This will make them love their industry more and strive for perfection. Even if he is a sanitation worker in Sanshui County, who is in charge of cleaning the roads, Cuckoo and I will let him know how important his work is. Zhang Xiaobao explained his and Wang Wan's thoughts. The first movie to be released would not be a series. First, it would be used to show the glory of Tang Dynasty. He and Wang Wan believed that even if it was a child playing, it would still be able to give people a sense of motivation. Li Longji nodded slowly. I know. But sanitation workers in Sanshui County also earn a lot. Let's start with a less profitable industry. That's the teachers. They don't earn much, not much compared to the nature of their profession. That's because it's not easy for the teachers of the Great Tang to teach children. They pay particular attention to education without discrimination. They're not the kind of teachers who don't care whether the children understand or not after they've finished teaching. Some teachers also have to take care of the students' daily lives. The money they receive is actually very little. The students do not give them anything, but the merchants in charge of the schools provide them with supplies. In other words, they do not have much cash on hand. In the future, I will use your money to give them directly. How about this? After the movie is released, we will give them a portion of the money we earn from advertisements. I am actually very envious of children who can study in schools. When I was young, I am going too far. Let's start with teachers. Zhang Xiaobao also attached great importance to education. Or rather, he attached great importance to it. This was because the ones who were educated were children, and he liked children. Wang Wan smiled at the side. She knew that Zhang Xiaobao was thinking about the past. Zhang Xiaobao always clung to the windows on the first floor of the school. It was not that he could not go to school, but if he really wanted to go, he would be caught and sent back. However, he did not want to go back, because the headmaster was no longer there. At that time, his young heart was filled with thoughts of revenge. As a result, many people later died. For example, they were bitten to death by wild snakes that could not possibly appear in China. How could Li Longji know about this? He thought that Zhang Xiaobao was deliberately provoking people. He was very sure that Xiaobao and Cuckoo had received a very powerful education that was different from modern education. Just like Xiao Bei and the others, they were very smart. Of course, if he really knew about the education that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had received in the past, he would also feel that it was different. Wang Wan had a high IQ and received an aristocratic family education. How could the tutors she hired be ordinary people? Zhang Xiaobao was even more amazing. He often went to a different kind of university and constantly changed his residence so that he could learn the skills he wanted to use. That school was much more awesome than a vocational school. That school contained the top talents of all kinds of professions. There was no shortage of professions from officials to thieves. It could be said that they had everything. Then what kind of clothes will I wear when the time comes? Li Longji thought about this specific matter. Zhang Xiaobao was speechless. You will wear what you usually wear when the time comes. No matter what you wear, your identity as the emperor will not change. Yes, yes. Even if I don't wear clothes, I will still be the emperor. However, I will not be like the story that Xiao Bei told me, where I feel like I am wearing new clothes when I am naked. If I really do that one day, you will be the first to be punished, because only you can deceive me. As Li Longji spoke, he laughed. He often told the stories that Xiao Bei told him to the other ministers. He used this to tell the other ministers that they should not deceive him, and that they should not expect him to get Xiao Bao out of the private bank. He understood that if others went to the private bank, they would either lose money or cause the common people to die. Only Xiaobao knew how to maintain a balance. Therefore, no matter how much you praise him, he will still wear clothes. In winter, he must wear a cotton-padded jacket. The four of them had a common goal, so it was easy for them to talk. He was just a swindler. They could deal with him however they wanted. There was no need to waste too much energy on him. When the four of them finished their discussion and came out, they saw Xiao Bei leading a group of children to build the Great Wall. Xiao Bei did not know how to draw, nor did she know how to design. She left it to others to take care of. She only cared about leading the children. She could be considered a commander, although she always said that she was not as good as the other 8 people in her field, and appeared to be a little inferior. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan understood that Xiao Bei was the most outstanding talent. There were many professionals. It was just a matter of who could integrate and organize. It was a very profound skill. The Great Wall is really not bad. Li Longji saw that the short Great Wall had been built about 1 li long and praised. Although children sometimes understood things slowly, as long as someone explained it clearly to them, they would still do it very seriously. This was especially so when it came to playing. They were willing to spend a lot of energy on a pile of sand to continuously build their ideal castle. If they accidentally broke it, they would not be depressed and would continue to seriously repair it. The Great Wall in front of them was built in this way. The older children were in charge of rolling snowballs from afar and then transporting them over. They were next to each other and then repaired. The younger children were at the side helping to carry the snow and fill in the uneven areas. The Great Wall that was more than 1 li long was formed with the efforts of the group of children. As the children were not tall enough, the Great Wall was shorter, but the shape was not bad. Everyone pay attention. You have to write your names on the Great Wall now. When you come over next year, we will have to do it again. Those who don't know how to write, raise your hands. I will get someone to help you write it. When it's done, I will treat you to something good to eat. Xiao Bei was still mobilizing and seemed to be very authoritative. Xiao Yuan and the other 8 children voluntarily handed over the position of commander to Xiao Bei. The other children knew from their parents that Xiao Bei was a high-ranking official, so they were also obedient. Didn't she already deal with a disobedient child previously? Hearing Xiao Bei's words, the children cheered and shouted their names. Those who knew how to write helped at the side. The words were written without any calligraphy aura, making the adults feel that it was very beautiful. As for what Xiao Bei would treat them to later, the children did not care too much. They just wanted to eat together. It was more lively with more people because the food here was generally free. The food here was in the form of a buffet. Children of 4 or 5 years old could carry a plate to choose. Every dish was specially guarded by a person. There were also people patrolling the tables from time to time. One was to tell the children not to stir the food in the large basin, so that they would not waste it. The other most important was to watch the children, and not let them eat the 2 poisonous things mixed together. Of course, the busiest were the cleaners. The children were carrying wooden plates, and there were too many situations where they overturned them. They had to be cleaned up immediately. Otherwise, other children would step on them and fall. However, the children who overturned the plates did not receive any punishment. The adults also smiled knowingly, making Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan sigh. It would be great if there were a camera to take pictures. Your Majesty, let's go back first. When Xiao Bei and the others are done playing, we'll find them again. Zhang Xiaobao looked at his younger siblings and did not have the heart to disturb them. So he said to Li Longji, "The 2 of you go back first. We still need to go to the big amusement park. It's not easy for us to come out and play." Li Longji rejected Zhang Xiaobao's suggestion to go back together. He still wanted to look around and play more. Zhang Xiaobao did not force him. "Your Majesty, you should rest early today. Tomorrow we will take a boat to the mountains. When we arrive, we still have to walk. We need to rest well." Zhang Xiaobao was actually afraid that Li Longji would catch a cold. If they really wanted to go to Heaven Lake, it would take 3 days just to travel by water. It was impossible for him to be tired. Li Longji nodded, indicating that he understood. After Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan left, he ran to Xiao Bei's side and asked him to play with him. Uncle Emperor, we are just short of writing. We are all children. Why are you coming over? Xiao Bei was confused by Li Longji's request. Do you think we are also children? Li Longji did not act like an adult at all. He insisted on bringing him along. Okay, you can write in the middle. Write Great Tang Great Wall. Okay? Xiao Bei said helplessly. That's what I want. Li Longji really calculated the middle and wrote Great Tang Great Wall. The number one wall in the world, Li Longji on the snow. The children cheered again. If it was someone else who wrote it, the children would be angry. They did not participate in the construction, so why should they leave their names? However, it was different when the emperor wrote it. He built the Great Wall, and the emperor praised it. It was the number one wall in the world. Xiao Bei patted the snow on his hands happily and said, Uncle Emperor wrote the number one wall in the world. This wall is the number one wall in the world. Who dares to not accept it? Even the king of Xinlua denied Uncle Emperor. I will ask my sister to lead the army to destroy him. When the parents of the children saw that the emperor was playing with the children, they knew that no matter how important it was in the future, they would have to come over in the winter to help the children build the Great Wall. For example, if the neighbors and others asked, what were they going to do? This year, the answer was to go to Jili province to see the snow. But from next year onwards it would change. The current emperor saw the wall made of snow by my naughty child in Jili province, and said that it was the number one wall in the world. This year, my child insisted that we build it again. There was no other way. He was like an ancestor at home. It was not easy to be parents. It was just that people should be modest, right? Don't be too flamboyant. It was all the child's fault. Being disobedient had nothing to do with the adults. There was no intention to show off. Uncle Emperor, we are going to eat. It's my treat. What about you? Xiao Bei waited for the other children to write their names on the wall and asked Li Longji. I want to go too. I want to see what you are going to treat them to. Li Longji stuck to Xiao Bei. Of course it's something that the restaurant doesn't have right now. Even if there is no need for me to treat them. I will treat them to hairtail fish. I found that the restaurant doesn't have it, so I will braise it. Xiao Bei had already thought of what to treat them. Hairtail fish was the main dish. It was just right to eat it with rice. It was fragrant. Seaweed soup would be enough. It was quick to cook and convenient to eat. No matter what the children ate, it was better to have more people. They followed him to the restaurant and chose a large room. It was not open to the public. Then, they really ate something that they had never eaten before. There was a huge hairtail fish that weighed more than 300 catties. It was cut into pieces, and each piece could fill a plate. It was slightly red in color, and looked very appetizing. There was also rice produced in the northeast. It was only cooked once a year. It was much more beautiful than what they ate in the south. It looked crystal clear. There were also spoon worms in the seaweed soup, also known as sea chickens. Very few people ate them. Only Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan knew the value of this thing. There was no need to add MSG or chicken essence in a soup with spoon worms. The soup itself contained a large amount of those things. It was also the first time Li Longji had seen such a huge hairtail fish. He looked at it curiously and asked Xiao Bei, "Is it raised by your family?" Xiao Bei shook his head vigorously. "My family doesn't have the ability to catch it. I heard from my brother and sister that there are even bigger ones. It's just that I haven't seen them yet. When treating people to a meal, I naturally have to treat them with good things. I can't take out ordinary things. Even the child of a provincial governor can be so arrogant. I am the child of a minister. You still remember this?" Li Longji was speechless. He kicked my snowman. Why wouldn't I remember him? I have decided. In the future, I will not say who I am first. I will look for children to play with. When I meet an arrogant child, I will investigate his family. I will teach those officials not to educate their children properly. Xiao Bei revealed his new method of catching officials, and starting with their children. Let's see who dares to compare their fathers to him. I won't kill him. Li Longji felt sorry for the officials of the Tang dynasty. They had met people like Xiao Bei. Their future days would not be easy. However, he had to persuade Xiao Bei not to waste his time. "Xiao Bei, actually, the people you met are rare. Many officials have good family upbringings. If you look around, how can you find them? You should think of other ways. Don't always think of going far away. Follow your brother and sister and learn more skills. I know, but I am annoyed by people like this. I will not deliberately look for them. If I don't meet them, then so be it. If I meet one, I will catch one. Uncle Emperor, I understand. You didn't give us officials to catch people every day. It's just to protect my brother and sister. But since I am in this position, I have to do something. I want to let the people know that they have a good emperor. The emperor has sent 9 officials who are very honest. They are not afraid of threats or bribes. I have to help you build a good reputation. Xiao Bei cleverly revealed the reason why Li Longji had arranged officials for them. When he heard this, Li Longji was stunned. He secretly decided that in the future, if Xiao Bei and the others caught officials, they would be punished even more severely. Chapter 979. The next day, light snow fell from the sky, making the already cold Jili state even colder. Fortunately, the sea was not frozen yet, so Zhang Xiaobao and the others headed towards the Yalu River. A large number of people were left in Jili state. Xiao Bei insisted on following them, so he had to bring the 9 of them along. The 2 younger ones were handed over to Empress Wang to wait in Jili state. When they were on the ship, Zhang Xiaobao got the news that the cartoon for Xiao Bei and the others was ready. Many pieces of glass were connected to each other, waiting for Xiao Bei and the others to watch. Xiao Bei was very regretful. He chose not to go back to watch the cartoon, but to continue to the Tianqi Lake. This was because if he turned back, his brother and sister would not be able to follow him, and the cartoon would be boring. Li Longji asked a few more questions. He was mainly concerned about his image and voice, so that everyone in the Tang Empire could see it. Zhang Xiaobao explained patiently that what Xiao Bei and the others saw was not an authentic movie. It was a very troublesome thing to make using a very expensive method, and they would know what it looked like when they went back. However, Li Longji still liked to ask. He asked twice a day for 3 days in a row. When they reached the destination and started to walk on land, he stopped. It was not that he did not want to ask anymore, but that he did not have the energy. The so-called land road did not have a road. It was just a way to walk. Walking along the river, the mountain road was rugged, and there was snow. When it snowed in Jili State, it snowed heavily here. The snow was so thick that if one stepped on it, the deeper the snow would reach one's thigh. Li Longji also wanted someone to carry him. It was comfortable to carry him, but he was worried that the person who carried him would not pay attention and throw him out. He would be buried in the snow and could not be found. Just like that, the group walked for more than a li before Zhang Xiaobao stopped. No, I think I will die of exhaustion on the road. If I had known, I would have brought the sled dog, get on the skateboard, and ask someone to get it from the ship. There are some on the ship. Li Longji remained silent. He didn't believe that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan hadn't considered this. They were clearly tormenting him so that he, the emperor, would know how difficult it was to descend the mountain. After waiting for someone to bring the skis, Li Longji put them on. As he walked, he asked, "Xiaobao, can we make it today?" "No. I'm afraid we'll have to set up shop in the snow tonight." "Don't worry, I'm fully prepared. I've already thought about how to deal with it before I came here," Zhang Xiaobao replied casually. "Then did you ever think that I would walk through a mile of snow? Since you've already thought about it, why don't you just get someone to bring the skis?" Li Longji finally found the contradiction in Zhang Xiaobao's words. Ugh, Zhang Xiaobao paused. He had indeed done it on purpose, but he wouldn't admit it. He didn't expect Li Longji to remember this, and was waiting for him to say it out loud. "It's like this. I started thinking that since there was snow, it wouldn't be easy to see it, especially with such heavy snow. If I didn't properly experience it, I would be letting myself down. I also thought that the snow wasn't that deep, and could kill Xiao Bei and the others. Your Majesty, think about it. If I knew, how could I not consider my younger brother and sister? They disappeared when they entered a deep area." Xiao Bei also struggled to paddle and agreed with his brother. "That's right, it's really deep. It's really dangerous." "What's so dangerous about it? You had someone carry you," Li Longji retorted. "It's more dangerous if 2 people fall in together. Xiao Bei's reasoning was very strong. Li Longji didn't want to waste his energy talking, so he nodded in agreement. Seeing Xiao Bei walking on the snow so easily, he suddenly felt curious. Xiao Bei, aren't you tired? Why do I see that you're so relaxed? Am I tired? I'm just a child. How can I not be tired when I have to travel such a long distance with adults? I'm relaxed because I'm young. When the wind blows, you're all grown up and need to withstand the wind. Uncle Emperor, don't you think so? Only Xiao Bei's eyes were exposed. The rest of her body was completely covered. When she spoke, her voice was very muffled. There were actually things on her eyes, but she didn't wear them. At first, Li Longji felt that it made sense, but then he realized that there was a proportion between adults and children when they were blown by the wind. Moreover, adults were stronger. Xiao Bei and the others weren't wearing the same skis as adults, so there was a proportion between them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to walk. With doubts in his heart, he continued to walk forward. As he walked, Xiaonan was careless and lost his balance. He cried out and fell sideways. Someone immediately went forward to help him. When Li Longji looked over, he noticed something different. The bottom of Xiaonan's skis wasn't flat. Instead, there was a row of barbs. They were going uphill now. When walking with skis, most of them had to walk sideways. They also had to exert force in their hands and compete with the ski pole on each side. Seeing the situation of Xiaonan's skis, Li Longji turned his head and said to Xiao Bei, "Raise one of your feet sideways and let me see." Xiao Bei obediently raised one of her feet. "Let's see. Why do your skis have barbs?" Li Longji asked again. "To save energy. Otherwise, how could I walk so easily?" Xiao Bei said as if he didn't understand such a simple principle. Li Longji was angered by Xiao Bei's words. Yes, I'm too stupid." In order to relax Xiao Bao, the last two words Xiao Bao were shouted. Fortunately, there was no snow on the mountain nearby. Otherwise, everyone would be buried and never be able to return. The upper echelons of Japan and Xinluo would be overjoyed. "Your Majesty, you called for me?" Zhang Xiaobao came over. "Raise your feet and let me see." Li Longji said this first. Zhang Xiaobao raised one of his feet. "Mine doesn't have anti-slip teeth. It's to train the body. It's not good to wear that thing." "Wear?" Li Longji found the keyword. "Yes, wear it. You can take it off at any time. Otherwise, what if you encounter a downhill?" "Your Majesty, do you want to wear one?" Zhang Xiaobao introduced calmly. He didn't say why he didn't take it out previously. It seemed that it was right not to take it out. At this moment, Li Longji hated Zhang Xiaobao to death. "Xiaobao, I want to go to Tianqi to take a look. I don't want to waste time on the road." "Understood. Wear it, everyone. But Xiao Bei and the others won't be able to keep up. Sir, pull them a little." Zhang Xiaobao agreed very quickly. As a result, everyone's walking became easier, and their speed increased. Xiao Bei and the other 9 children were tied by the adults, so it was easier for them to follow behind. Even so, they wouldn't be able to reach Tianqi in one day. Although they came by the Yalu River, and Tianqi was the source, the boat was too big. They couldn't cross over for fear of hitting the rocks. That night, everyone lit a fire and set up a tent. They even took out a hot pot to eat. Just as Zhang Xiaobao said, they were well prepared. The next day, everyone was still resting on the road. It wasn't until the afternoon of the next day that they saw a row of barracks in front of them. Seeing the barracks, Li Longji knew that they had arrived. He heaved a sigh of relief and said, "I'll come again next time. No matter what, I won't come in winter." "Your Majesty, we came at the wrong time this year. It hasn't frozen yet. We will probably see some ice when we go back. It's warm this year. If we really catch up with the ice, the scenery will be good. We can play ice skating on the river." Zhang Xiaobao introduced at the side. In fact, he didn't dare to let Li Longji go up when it was frozen. If he fell, how would he save him? Not to mention others. Even Xiao Bei wouldn't be able to hold on for long if she fell in. That was a hole. Of course, if the water wasn't flowing fast, Xiao Bei could swim back to the hole and stick her head out to breathe. "I have to go up quickly. It's already frozen. I took a look with my binoculars just now. It's reflective, but it might not be enough for people to stand on. When we go back, Remember to build an ice skating rink in the palace. I want the kind that can skate in summer. All the money will be paid by you. Don't take my money." Li Longji was exhausted from walking. He was really training his body. He estimated that he would have to rest for a long time when he reached the mountain. He had never suffered like this before. Zhang Xiaobao was too much. "All right, then don't build it in the palace. Build it outside so that others can skate. The Ministry of Works has good technology. We can make more ice skates. It won't be as tiring as before." Zhang Xiaobao answered straightforwardly. Li Longji thought that he had taken advantage of the situation and was in a better mood. He felt that he had more energy when he walked. However, after walking for less than 20 steps, he stopped and said to Zhang Xiaobao, "I agree that you can build the ice skating rink. I agree to let you build the ice rink outside. But, when you're operating outside, the money you earn will belong to me. Whether it's the ice skates sold inside, the snacks you make outside, or the advertisements for the merchants, I want them all." After saying those words, Li Longji finally felt relieved. He had almost been cheated again. Places in Beijing were precious, and if Xiaobao were to use his name to build an ice rink, wouldn't he be taking advantage of the situation? Fortunately, he was smart enough to think of the key points. It wasn't easy. He had improved a lot compared to before. Zhang Xiaobao smiled and nodded. "All right, I'll let your majesty have all the expenses for these 3 items. There are a total of 4 items. Your majesty, think about it again. What else do you need? The rest of the income will belong to me." Li Longji's happy mood changed again. He felt that Zhang Xiaobao had other ways to earn money, but he couldn't think of where. "Don't be in a hurry to say. Let me think about it. Logically speaking, there's no other way to earn money. We can't just sell warm clothes outside. Even if we sell them, it will be considered the income of the surrounding shops. Even if we don't open a shop, it will still belong to me. Think about it. I have to think about it. Lisher, come over and help me think." Li Longji was ready to accept a big challenge. At least that was what he thought. As the saying goes, one person's head is short. Bring Gao Lisher over, and everyone can discuss it. When Gao Lisher heard this, he also fell into deep thought. Where could he earn money? What a difficult question. Wang Wan laughed at the side. Xiaobei also tried hard to think, but after a while, he couldn't think of anything. He went to his sister and whispered, "Sister, how can brother earn money? Not only will your brother make money, but your candy house will also make money." Wang Wan bent down and whispered the same words. "Candy house? Why?" Xiaobei felt that it was very strange. What did the ice rink have to do with his precious candy house? If the candy house sold candy, wouldn't it be counted as Uncle Emperor's? Because during the children's competition, you can say that it was sponsored by your precious candy house. Those who get in the top few can go to your candy house to eat candy and pastries for free. The children are free, but the adults need money. Won't you be able to sell your set meal?" Wang Wan explained to Xiaobei. Xiaobei laughed twice, like a fox that had just eaten a chicken. His eyes turned into crescents as he whispered, "Then I will give every child a reward. The first 3 will eat the set meal for free, and the later ones will only be free for their children. The more people in the competition, the more money I will earn. Then when the adults get in the top few, will they go to Savant's restaurant to eat? No, they will eat by themselves. They are not like children who need to be accompanied by adults. We can give them discount coupons from the supermarket. For example, for every 100 copper coins spent, they can use the coupons to get a discount of 10 copper coins. Some people may only spend the coupons and not buy any more, while some people will buy more things. Shopping is addictive." Wang Wan explained again. Xiaobei was full of admiration. "As expected of big brother and big sister, you are really amazing. Uncle Emperor is so pitiful. Forget it. I will help Uncle Emperor." After Xiaobei finished speaking, he ran to Li Longji's side and said to Li Longji, "Uncle Emperor, I thought of something. It's like this. I will advertise inside. I will pay for the advertisement, and then write that if you eat the candy house, you will not be afraid of the cold when playing. What do you think? You can also ask for this, won't it be fine?" Li Longji listened carefully. After listening to it, he pondered and said to Xiaobei, "You little rascal, How can we take the money from the merchants? I thought you really came to help us, but it turns out that you came up with a bad idea. Then who would advertise inside? Oh, that's right. Uncle Emperor is really smart. Then I will think again. Xiaobei chuckled and ran to Wang Wan's side, meaning that he also cheated a bit, but was seen through by Uncle Emperor. When Li Longji saw Xiaobei's expression, he was once again amused. He said to Zhang Xiaobao, "All right, I promise you. As for the rest of the money, you can take it yourself. I can see that none of you are good people." Really? Since it is like this subject will first invite your majesty to be the special guest of the first ice event. This subject has more events, including short track speed skating, long distance skating relay, adult group, children group, ice dance, and so on. This subject even includes class training. When the time comes, your majesty can go and take a look. You can get a red packet. When the time comes, you will think that it is very interesting. Do you think that it is very interesting to take advantage of you? Li Longji knew that he did not think of anything. Fortunately, there would be many people watching, and the tickets would be expensive. The money would belong to him. No, how can this subject think like that? This subject is also helping your majesty to earn money. With the competition, the clothes worn by the participants will be sponsored and advertised. Your majesty's income will be higher. Zhang Xiaobao would not admit it no matter what. In fact, there were other ways to earn money. Ordinary people could not make ice skates, and the quality of steel was not good. But the Ministry of Works could. When the time came and ice sports became prosperous, because of Li Longji's support, they could sell ice skates. They did not have to sell them next to the ice rink, as long as there was ice. Li Longji lost for a while again. Even if he could earn money, he was not very happy. When Xiaobao mentioned it, he thought of it. Why did he not think of it when he did not mention it? It seemed that he was just a little bit away. While they were talking, they had already arrived at the military camp. All of the soldiers guarding the mountain were in position. There were a total of 75 people, which was just enough to form a team. There were also 20 or so people who were in charge of doing miscellaneous chores, recording the weather, surveying the terrain, and so on. They were all waiting for the emperor to arrive. The soldiers were wearing thick military uniforms and gloves that separated the fingers to make it easier to fire the gun. They were also wearing hats with ears. When they breathed, the tips of their hats and eyebrows turned white. Just like Li Longji and the others, they were very cold. When Li Longji came closer, all of the soldiers saluted with their guns. The clicking sounds were very synchronized, and it made them look even more formidable. Not bad. The soldiers of Great Tang are all good. It has been hard on you to guard this place. As Li Longji spoke, he took out his hands from his gloves and patted the shoulders of the 75 soldiers. Occasionally, he would stop to help a soldier adjust his hat and clothes. In fact, the soldiers had already adjusted their clothes and hats. How could they not notice the emperor's appearance? He was just putting on an act. Even so, the soldiers were very touched. Tears welled up in their eyes, and they felt that it was worth it to guard this cold and high place. Li Longji walked up to the commander and asked with concern, "Is your daily life very tough?" The commander shook his head. "It's not tough. It's just that it's cold outside. When we're on guard duty, we're very diligent. It's fine as long as we don't stay outside for too long." "Is there nothing good to eat?" Li Longji asked again. Zhang Xiaobao continued, "Your Majesty, how is that possible? They're the soldiers under Cuckoo's command. How can Cuckoo and I not provide them with good food and drinks? Not to mention other things. If there's any lack of green in their food during winter, I'll close down all of the restaurants." The commander nodded his head vigorously in agreement. Oh, Li Longji suddenly understood. Right, Cuckoo was in charge of this place, so it was impossible for the soldiers to lack good food and drink like in other places. Otherwise, the signboards between the clouds and the water and blue sea silver sand would all be smashed. "Wait for me to ask," Li Longji said to Zhang Xiaobao, then asked, "What about heating and rest?" "In response to your Majesty's question, we have coal for heating and firewood collected in the summer. Military Commander Wang specially built a boiler for us and installed it 10 days ago. It's more convenient than the previous Kong bed. There are 3 thick beds, and we can change the covers. We'll be fine even if we stand outside for a couple of hours. We're wearing thick felt shoes, cotton socks, and cashmere sweaters. Don't worry, Your Majesty. We'll be able to hold on and live a good life. The commander excitedly explained the situation, then turned around and ran into the house. When he came back, he was holding a few cans in his hands. He stood in front of Li Longji again and introduced them. We also have all kinds of cans, including canned fruit. As for the meat, other than the game we hunted ourselves, we also have all kinds of meat-making tools sent by Shanxian. We can make our own sausages and ham. Li Longji realized that he shouldn't have asked. He reckoned that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo treated the people guarding the mountain according to the welfare of the inner courtyard. As expected, when he swept his gaze, he saw two people wearing light green clothes in the crowd, indicating that they were doctors. He could only ask about other things. Are there any more small problems? In response to Your Majesty's question, there are. And they're not small problems, the commander replied seriously. Chapter 980. When Li Longji asked the question, he thought that the other party would say that it was nothing, and that they didn't need to worry about food and lodging. What trouble could there be? Who would have thought that the team leader would have a big trouble? Please tell me. When Li Longji was speaking to the team leader, he reached out and pulled Zhang Xiaobao to the front. Zhang Xiaobao was depressed. Why did you drag me out when you're asking me what trouble it is? Why don't I ask it myself? Why do you want me to solve the problem after you ask? Do you want me to be the good guy? Revenge. It must be revenge for the ice skating rink incident. The team leader could guarantee that he didn't see the emperor's actions. He respectfully replied, Your Majesty, the trouble comes from. Sir Su, are you here? I'm here to send you fish. Before the team leader could finish his sentence, a voice resounded through the mountains. Zhang Xiaobao's heartbeat suddenly quickened. There was already snow here, and it looked like it had been there for a long time. If there was a sudden crash, and a part of the mountain collapsed, Tang Empire would be in chaos. Fortunately, the mountain was still firm and didn't move at all. Your Majesty, the trouble is here. The team leader first said to Li Longji, then shouted in the direction of the voice. Don't shout, come over. Everyone looked over and saw 6 or 7 silhouettes coming out. When they got closer, they could see clearly that there were 8 people. They were wearing clothes of various colors. And with a single glance, it was obvious that they were pieced together from the fur of various animals. Some of them were carrying baskets, some were carrying a roe deer, and there were even 2 people carrying a deer. There was even a wooden basin covered with fur. They were walking very carefully, and there was probably something valuable in it. What's the situation? Zhang Xiaobao pulled out a dagger and asked. He didn't want to shoot in a snowy area. If there was no other way, he would fight hand to hand. He was confident that he could take down 2 people in a single move. Xiaobei also took out her slingshot, that couldn't even kill a bird without hitting its head. Regardless of whether it was strong enough or not, its reaction speed was definitely top-notch. Don't, little young master. Be merciful. He has a hard life. The captain hurriedly stopped him and explained. There used to be other people here. They were Momo's people. After that, the local forces were all destroyed by you and Cuckoo. They were also willing to listen to you. In addition to the benefits given, they gathered together and formed a few counties. The Xinhua people also took advantage of the opportunity to come. In the past, they had conflicts with the Tao Wu, and it was easy for them to die on the mountain. After the Tao Wu left, they were safe. Unless they were careless, no one would die. Last year, it was even later than this time. There were 5 people coming up the mountain. When we were patrolling, we discovered that one of them had fallen ill. We couldn't just leave him to die, so the patrolling people carried him back. He was saved by the Wei medical doctor who stayed behind last year. We still have to provide them with food. This shows how capable your families are and how much care they have for us. Normally, after eating the food that we eat, they are reluctant to leave. Since then, they always come. Sometimes they come in large groups. Sometimes they come in small groups. Sometimes they come in groups of 2 or 3. But most of them come in groups of 50 or 60. Every time they come, they bring things and come to us to ask for our usual meals. Hearing this, Li Longji nodded in agreement. How could the food provided by the Zhang family and the Wang family be ordinary? It was even to the extent that it was made according to everyone's taste. Otherwise, how could there be such loyal people? Even if the military camp couldn't make the food according to everyone's taste, it wouldn't be much different. If the Xinhua people saw it, wouldn't they think that it was the most delicious thing in the world? According to what you said, you think it's troublesome for them to come in exchange for food? Zhang Xiaobao made a hand gesture, asking the guards to let them in. He didn't believe that 8 people could do anything to threaten Li Longji. No, they are coming. You will know when you hear it. The leader stepped forward and stood a few steps forward. The soldiers in the team also protected the emperor. The guards closest to Li Longji didn't move. If they moved, they would be killed. For them, there was no concept of subduing. The 2 fast gunmen also put their left hand on the forearm of their right hand that was holding the gun. Mao Zi, stand still first. Don't move. Don't move. Yes, little by little. Slowly take off the weapons in your hands and on your body, and gently put them on the ground. When you put them down, don't look up. Xiao Wu, Xiao Qi, go and search them. When the leader saw that the 8 people were closer, less than 30 steps away, he nervously shouted. He didn't want to see the other party be killed directly. There was no need to think about what the guards around the emperor and the 11 children of the Zhang family and the Wang family looked like. The person called Mao Zi was very obedient. He also felt that the situation was not right. There were too many people. At a rough glance, there were at least 800 if not 1,000 people. He said a few words to the 7 people around him and slowly put everything down. As expected, he didn't look up. He waited for the 2 soldiers guarding the mountain to search him again before he was allowed to move forward. When he was 20 steps away, the leader leaned over and whispered, Mao Zi, be careful what you say. His Majesty is here in person. Also, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan from between the clouds and the water, and their younger brothers and sisters are all here. Stay calm. Don't make any big movements. While the leader was talking, Mao Zi's body began to pile up. He hurriedly reached out to support him. Mao Zi's legs began to tremble. If he really sat down, the guards would probably think that he was going to do something and directly kill him. Su, Military Master Su, you are not kidding me, right? I am timid. His Majesty is here? Zhang Xiao, Xiao Bao and the others are here too? It's so cold. Why are they climbing up the mountain? Mao Zi didn't need the leader to say more. He already knew what he should do. He had to hold on. He couldn't make any big movements. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to go back alive. He came to see our people guarding the mountain. Young Master Zhang said that the entire mountain belongs to the Tang Empire. Let's see if we have guarded it. The leader puffed out his chest and looked very proud. The emperor had brought Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family to see. How big of a face did he have? It could scare people to death. It has always been like this. We only came here to hunt. The other side of the Huangshui and the muddy river is Xian Luo. The rest is all yours. Xian Luo is far from here. When a person is overly frightened, they can sometimes suddenly become calm and steady. Kat belonged to this type of person. Her speech was much smoother, and her mind was more open. The worst that could happen was death. Moreover, the other party did not say that they wanted her life. The leader knew what river Mao Zi was talking about. It was indeed quite a distance from here. But he had to explain. Didn't we just stabilize not long ago? So the emperor came to take a look. Don't say anything wrong later, especially children. Don't provoke them. Let's go. I'll go over. Stop 10 steps away. I'll instruct them. Mao Zi turned around and came near the other 7 people who were puzzled. They didn't hear what he said just now. Zhang Xiaobao saw that the 7 people slowly squatted down and raised their palms outwards. They lowered their heads and looked at the ground. The person called Mao Zi must have explained it to them clearly. After Mao Zi arranged for the 7 people, he simply took off his outer coat, revealing a patched short shirt inside. It showed that he didn't have any weapons. Only then did he follow the leader to a distance of 10 steps away from Li Longji. This distance was the best distance for a fast shooter to react. It was accurate, and the reaction time was enough. As soon as Mao Zi arrived, he knelt there without other people's instructions and kowtowed 3 times in a row. The snow where he kowtowed became hard. Your Majesty, I didn't know that your Majesty was here. I've offended you. I'll be sentenced to death. Li Longji nodded happily. He didn't think that the other party really wanted to die. However, the other party was from Xian Luo. He recognized him as the emperor and kowtowed sincerely. As soon as he was happy, he looked at Zhang Xiaobao and said, "Reward a set of clothes." Since there were outsiders around, Zhang Xiaobao was very respectful. He immediately made a hand gesture, and someone brought out a set of clothes and a cloth according to the cat's figure. He walked over to the cat and whispered a few words. The cloth was wrapped around the cat. When Mao Zi came out, he looked completely different from head to toe. He adhered to the style of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family, except for Xiao Bei and the other 9 people. The clothes were fitting, comfortable, and not ostentatious. However, Mao Zi didn't think so. He braved the cold to change. What material is this? Why is it so soft? It's warm. The things from Tang are the best. Furthermore, this is a gift from the Tang Empire's emperor. This set of clothes is comfortable to wear for a while. I have to take it off and take it back. Li Longji saw that the other party was nimble, and nodded in satisfaction. Come closer and talk. Zhang Xiaobao cursed in his heart. He and Wang Wan quickly moved a step in front of Li Longji. If they moved any closer, it would be difficult for the fast gunner to judge, and it would be easy to misfire. Furthermore, the fast gunner's identity wasn't suitable to be in front of them. It was the same for the other bodyguards. Only Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan stood there, so that others wouldn't feel alienated. Their identities were also extraordinary. It gave people the feeling that the 3 big shots of Tang were meeting together. Mao Zi was really excited. He didn't know Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, but from their positions just now, he could feel that their status was second only to the Emperor of Tang. Looking at their ages, it wasn't difficult to guess who they were. He moved forward again little by little. When he was 5 steps away from Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, he stopped when Li Longji opened his mouth to speak. The distance was so close that Mao Zi could even see Li Longji's eyelashes clearly. For some reason, he suddenly had the thought of dying for the Emperor of Tang at any time. If it was his own Xinlua, he wouldn't even stand so close to a chief, let alone a king. He was afraid that he would cause harm to others. But the Emperor of the Great Tang, as well as the most formidable Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, had allowed him to stand at this distance and not go any further. That would be sticking to him. How magnanimous did one have to be to do this? Of course, he knew that if he wanted to do something dangerous, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan could make him bleed on the spot within a second. The 2 of them didn't have much strength when they were young, but they could deal with the Emperor's bodyguards when they cooperated with each other with hidden weapons, let alone when they grew up. Your Majesty, Jidushi Zhang, Jidushi Wang, I'm from Xinlua. I'm here to send something to Captain Su and the others who are guarding the mountain. I don't know, Your Majesty. Mao Zi, who had become bold because of the pressure, was once again at a loss because of Li Longji's friendliness. He stuttered when he spoke. This time, it wasn't because he was scared, but because he was excited. Li Longji understood, and made a gesture of pressing down with his hand, indicating that the other party shouldn't be anxious. He said, Xinlua is a vassal state of Tang. I'll have to trouble the soldiers on the mountain. I saw that you brought deer and roe deer. I'll try it today and let Xiaobao make it. You can eat with me. Consider it as me taking advantage of you. I'll return the favor later. When Mao Zi heard Li Longji's words, he started crying. He wiped his tears and said, Your Majesty, I don't want to stay in Xinlua. I want to come to Tang. I begged Captain Su for half a year. He said he couldn't make the decision. I looked for him, but couldn't find anyone else. I could only come here to ask him. Your Majesty, you can consider me as someone from Tang. This time, Li Longji knew what the trouble was. Captain Su couldn't agree as he didn't have the authority. That was a diplomatic dispute. Speaking of which, the trouble was indeed not small. Seeing the other party crying and begging, Li Longji sighed in his heart. He knew very well what the reason was. It was Xiaobao's plan to destroy the family. He gave them food, and then made them grow cotton. How many years had it been? He had already reached the point of forcing them with food. Compared to that swindler in Yuanzhou, Xiao Bao was a truly ruthless person. What was there to be proud of by scamming the officials and commoners of an entire prefecture? Xiao Bao was scheming for the country. Otherwise, how could he be on the top of the list of tycoons? Zhang Xiaobao, who knew Li Longji very well, did not need to turn around to know what Li Longji was thinking. He said, "Your Majesty, this subject is willing to listen to orders and help the people of the vassal countries. Your Majesty, please make a decision." Li Longji returned to reality from his thoughts and nodded lightly. "Very well, I have a plan. Let the people of the great Tang and the people of Xinlua build a county together and rule it together." "Xiaobao, what do you think?" Zhang Xiaobao quickly answered, "Your Majesty is wise." The others followed suit and shouted, "Your Majesty is wise." Only Xiaobei and the other 9 did not shout, especially Xiaobei. She was studying hard. Uncle Emperor was really amazing. At the very least, he was thick-skinned. This was clearly an idea of her brother and sister. Uncle Emperor actually took it for himself and said it in such a righteous manner. Cat did not know what was going on. He had just made a request, and the Emperor of Tang immediately came up with a plan. It was too amazing. No wonder he was the emperor, and he was from a strong country like Tang. He thought that this was an idea specially made for him. Cat was so grateful that he did not know what to do. He wanted to kneel, but he was afraid that his movements would be too big, and his clothes would be dirty. If he did not kneel, he would not show respect. Therefore, he did an unimaginable action. He put his feet on the ground and spread his hands apart. It was a push-up position. He let his head touch the ground as a kowtow. Zhang Xiaobao was full of admiration. Could this be the legendary prostration? "Xiaobao, you do the specific things. I believe you can do it well." Li Longji spoke again. He did not forget to tell Cat to get up. Cat straightened up and looked at his clothes to see if they were dirty. Seeing that there were only a few spots of snow, he was relieved and became calm again. "Your Majesty said it well. Not only the people, but also the people of many places. They have long wanted to come to Tang. If they continue to stay in Xinlua, they will not be able to survive." Why can't they survive? Didn't they give you food?" Li Longji asked. He was really puzzled. Xiao Bao had given a lot of food. Although they could always use food as a threat, it had not been implemented yet. They had just planned to implement it this year. So how could they starve? Cat sighed. "They did, but they did not directly give it to us. They gave it to the chief, the village chief, or some noble or county magistrate. Their houses have many more exquisite furniture from Tang, so we have less food. Before winter came, we gave them a little. Last summer, in June and July, there were many wild vegetables. We did not see a grain of rice for a month." Li Longji understood. The food must have been taken by the officials to the border to be sold at a very low price. Then they could buy expensive luxury goods. "Your Majesty did not send people to investigate?" Li Longji asked. "Yes, but our Xinlua does not have 3 rounds like the Tang patrol. We will only send 1 round. So this round of people will have many exquisite things. Our Xinlua does not have a patrol like Xiaobei, nor do we have people like Xiaobei's family's intelligence system. Needless to say, we can bribe at least 300,000 strings of coins every year. Even 300 strings of coins can be bribed." Cat had already seen a group of children. When he spoke, he glanced again. Xiaobei stood at the front and returned a bright smile, like a sunflower. Li Longji and the other officials were silent after hearing this. They all understood that Xiaobei and the other 9 Tang patrol were special existences. They could not be threatened, let alone bribed. When Shuichiro Watanabe stretched out a finger, Xiaobei thought it was 100 million strings of coins. Later, he guessed that it was 10 million strings of coins, which was already the bottom line. But who could take out 10 million strings of coins to bribe? That was 10 billion strings of coins. Not to mention a province or a prefecture. Even an official in charge of a road. Could he take it out? The richest, Jiangnan Road or Jiangyi Road, could take it out. But the premise was that they did not hand over a single coin and gave it all to Xiaobei. What was the official after? He could not be greedy for money himself. Moreover, it was impossible to do so. What kind of joke was that if a place did not hand over any revenue? The entire Tang Empire's revenue this year was only 130 million strings of coins. It was estimated that the Zhang family and Wang family earned about half of this amount this year. There was also the 100 million strings of coins from the Great Tang Bank. This was the confidence of Xiao Bei and the other 8 patrol. They were so rich that they could rival a country. Why would they bribe? Li Longji waited for a long time. When Cat could not wait any longer, he said, "Come to the Tang Empire. With Xiao Bei and the others here, I will let Xiao Bei watch over the officials in the new district. What do you think?" "Thank you, Your Majesty. If you really let Xiao Bei take care of it, I will definitely take the initiative to pay the rent. There is no need for others to collect it. I will send it up myself. It will only be more and not less." Cat's face turned red. Xiao Bei, that was Xiao Bei. They did not really need to take care of it. As long as they had a name, which official would dare to touch them? Xiao Bei was very embarrassed because his sister had said that in the future, even if it was 100 million strings of coins, he would not accept it. He had been greedy at that time. He turned to look at the other 8 people. Xiao Yuan and the other 8 people looked like they wanted him to make the decision. Xiao Bei stood up and walked to the front shyly. "Uncle Emperor, in the future, even if it is 100 million strings of coins, we will not accept it. We will not accept money with the premise of harming the people of the Tang Empire. I suggest that we let Cat, let this person be the county magistrate of the new district. When the time comes, we will only watch him. If he becomes greedy, we will add all the hatred he had for the officials today to him. Cat, what do you think? When the time comes, it is not just death. Sometimes death is a kind of happiness." Chapter 981. Li Longji didn't care about who would be the county magistrate. When Xiao Bei suggested it, he immediately agreed. Thus, Cat became the county magistrate of a county that he didn't belong to yet. Cat was very excited. A county magistrate was such a high position. He didn't expect to be a county magistrate one day. However, just as he was happy, he became worried again. "Your Majesty, I haven't been an official before. How can I be a county magistrate? I have to know what to do." "It's simple. I'll find someone to teach you. I was a county magistrate before," Xiao Bei said from the side to reassure Cat. Only then did Cat feel relieved. He happily turned around and told the 7 people who were still squatting on the ground. The 7 people cheered. After confirming that there wouldn't be any danger, Cat and the others were treated much better. They didn't need to be guarded against as if they were thieves. The things they brought could be considered as gifts for Li Longji. There were roe deer, and the wooden basin was filled with fish. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were surprised that there were fish. Didn't they say that the fish would appear later? There were fish originally, but they disappeared after a few eruptions. The terrain now is different from ours. I don't know if we can still find hot springs. Even if we can, the location will be different. Zhang Xiaobao whispered to Wang Wan. Wang Wan nodded gently. "I think so too. Why? Do you plan to develop tourism here?" "Not now. There isn't even a decent road. Who would travel here? Let's wait for the future. When more people have money and are willing to travel, we'll let a few businessmen compete to develop tourism resources." Zhang Xiaobao looked at the beautiful scenery around him and seemed very helpless. He wanted to build a road, but no one would come. Just the annual maintenance cost alone wasn't a small amount. "Are you planning to give it away and not develop it yourself?" Wang Wan asked. "Development? I am also one of the businessmen. There are some things that can be monopolized, and some things that cannot be monopolized. Without competition, the pressure on the businessmen will be reduced. When the time comes, it will be easy for the businessmen to not want to make progress. Let's go and try the fish in the heavenly lake first. It is not easy to catch fish with shaved ice." Zhang Xiaobao looked at the fish that were still alive in the basin and gulped. He really didn't know what the fish in the heavenly lake tasted like. The others were also curious. There were fish on such a high mountain. If word got out, most people would not believe it. If it was sold in the capital, there would probably be people who would rush to buy it. Xiao Bei began to discuss with the other 8 people about bringing the fish back and raising them in glass jars. They said that they would put them in their precious candy house to attract children. Li Longji said that he wanted to eat with Cat, so he really ate with Cat. The dishes were prepared by Zhang Xiaobao. Of course, not everyone could eat it. If it was soup, there might be enough soup. During the meal, Cat introduced himself. His surname was Li. Because the emperor of Tang dynasty was surnamed Li, many people in Xinhua were proud to have the surname Li. They were called Li Mao because he was agile, so others just called him Cat. Cat said that many people in Xinhua were having a hard time. Those who were close to the water had to fish for a living, so that their family would not starve to death. Those who were close to the mountain had to make a living on the mountain. He was closer to the mountain. After walking for more than half a month, he reached the mountain. Then he would hunt some prey and spend more than half a month to go back. He would eat the meat at home and sell the fur to the people of Tang dynasty. He would then buy food from Tang dynasty. After all, the closest place was only a river. It was very easy to come over. Furthermore, Tang dynasty did not stop them, saying that they were not allowed to come over. There were also people from Xinhua who ran directly to Tang dynasty and worked for very little wages. Women who were slightly more beautiful also went to Tang dynasty to sing and dance for people. If they were fancied, they would immediately go to rest with people. When it was over, they would not ask for money but for food. Cat said that in a village next to him, there were 3 families of women who often went to Tang dynasty to do work. Each time, they could bring back about 50 kilograms of rice. They would go back with it on their heads. Any more and they would not be able to do it. It was too heavy. Furthermore, it was easy for the people of Xinhua to find out and take them away. They usually came at night and went back at night. There was still work to be done at home. Li Longji listened and could not bear it. From time to time, he would look at Zhang Xiaobao, meaning to say, "Look at how you are tormenting people." Zhang Xiaobao was very innocent and mumbled, "What has it got to do with me? I use food to restrict them. That was a strategic goal, but I did not give them food. It was their aristocrats who sold the food. Who is to blame? The officials are the ones who rule, so the people can live. Corrupt officials are the ones who scam people the most. We have to catch more in the future." Xiao Yuan was also very emotional. After the meal, Cat and the rest were going back to recruit people to spread the news of the establishment of a new county. More people would know and take the initiative to come over. When the time came, the new county would be very big. Zhang Xiaobao and the rest went to the side of the Heaven Lake to take a look. He really did find a hot spring. It was a hot spring that the guards here usually used to bathe. Hence, Zhang Xiaobao gave a new order to the guards. He asked them to look for more hot springs and remember the location. In the future, this place would be valuable. Li Longji also made a reservation in advance. He said that he would leave 2 or 3 good soup for him when he came over in the future. As such, everyone stayed on the mountain for a day. They immediately went back the way they came, because they could not continue to go against the flow of the Yellow River. They had to change to a land route. Li Longji did not want to be not in the capital during the new year. How could he celebrate with the people? The speed of returning was faster than when they came. It was downhill, so they just had to control the skis well. In less than a day, everyone returned to the ship. They sat on the ship and went straight to Hunan province. The people waiting in Jili province also set off at the same time. They would gather in Hunan province. The generals were already rubbing their hands together. There should be no other things to do this time, right? It was time to hold the military examination. At night, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan stayed in the cabin to discuss things after teaching their younger siblings. Zhang Xiaobao used this period of time to carefully understand the information of each general. He provided them with food and drink, analyzed their personalities. When they were still on the ship, he let them compete. Their fighting styles were also exposed. Now, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were summarizing and thinking about how to deal with the generals. Where do you plan to compete? Zhang Xiaobao put the information on the table and asked Wang Wan. I want to go back to the capital to compete. If we go by land, How can we have time to compete? But when we go back to the capital, it will be the new year. I don't think we can compete. Do you think that if we keep delaying, they will be angry and not compete? Wang Wan said with a smile. The generals had been waiting for too long, but she and Zhang Xiaobao could always find an excuse to delay time, so that they could understand their opponents. Probably not, Zhang Xiaobao said uncertainly. Why don't we find some work for them? Don't let them be idle. What work? Continue to let them play by themselves on the sand table? Wang Wan couldn't think of any other excuse. Zhang Xiaobao waved his hand and said, No need. They will only be angrier if we use the same method. I plan to go to Shandong and go ashore. Then, on the way here, there will be a lot of local people coming over to reward the army. We will pay for it. Let the commoners drink with the generals, chat, and compete in horseback riding, archery and so on. Especially the hunters, their methods are not inferior to the soldiers. They have to compete all the way, even if they don't want to compete. Won't that be cowardice before the battle? You still have a lot of bad ideas. All right, we'll do as you say. Compared to the past, we can further increase the goodwill of the soldiers. We can even ask the soldiers to help the villagers repair their houses when we stop by a village during the journey. Wang Wan happily agreed and thought of other things to add. Sure enough, when the troops arrived at the shore of Hunan Road, a large group of people greeted them. They took out all kinds of local specialties and stuffed them into the hands of the soldiers. They also prepared a place and invited the soldiers to play, holding a military and civilian party. The generals were helpless. They knew that this was Zhang Xiaobao's stalling tactic, but they had no choice but to jump into the pit with their eyes wide open. They led their subordinates to hold a party with the commoners, and then achieved good results in the competition, venue one after another. When they got on the train, there were countless houses that had been repaired by the soldiers and the hearts of the people behind them. The train was very fast. After a day, Li Longji returned to the capital. There were 6 days left until New Year's Eve. The generals continued to wait. They would compete again after the new year. The results of the imperial examinations were also released. Zhang Xiaobao got first place, and Wang Wan got fourth place. She was too embarrassed to stand in another position. That way, there would only be one place left in the top 3. The two of them were both ranked in the advancement section. At the same time, their papers were also on the other subjects. There was no lack of their names on the rankings. Their positions on the rankings were relatively high, causing the people who came to see the rankings to exclaim in admiration. Of course, because of the two of them, most of the examinees were unable to go home during the new year. What could they do in 6 days? They could only stay in the places around the capital. Fortunately, the examinees were used to it. Some of the examinees who had planned to participate in next year's spring examinations were caught up in this year's autumn examinations. Regardless of which, they were unable to spend the new year at home. The only thing that made the examinees happy was that their expenses during the new year were still covered by Savant's restaurant. Those who wanted to go home next year would still be paid for their travel expenses. Those who passed the examinations would naturally wait for the arranger. When the time came, their families would also follow them. Finally, I can take a break. Zhang Xiaobao sat on a stool next to the ice skating rink. He watched his younger siblings skating in circles, and said in a relaxed manner. Wang Wan wore ice skates on her feet, and sat beside Zhang Xiaobao. She said, "The construction is really fast." The news from Changbai Mountain said that the ice skating rink was completed in a month. It's a pity that there are too few people who know how to skate, so we can't hold any competitions for the time being. You actually charged 50 copper coins per person. It's too expensive. It's not expensive. When there are more people playing, the price will increase to 100 copper coins. Otherwise, it won't be enough to cover the maintenance costs. This is not a roller skating rink. Those who use wheels to run on it are ice skates. It has to be maintained every day. Otherwise, if there are too many potholes, how can other people play? This is the price in winter, and it's even more expensive in summer. Can the Ministry of Works make artificial ice machines now? They can only rely on saltpeter and the ice stored in the ice cellar during winter. Aya, Speaking of this, I have to get someone to watch the riverside. Zhang Xiaobao suddenly thought of a problem. Once the ice skates in the ice skating rink were released, it would become a trend for a period of time. Those who thought that the ice skating rink was expensive would take ice carts to the river to play. If the ice surface was not frozen properly, it would be easy for accidents to happen. He had to inform the yamen in cold places to send people to guard the riverside. Otherwise, what would happen if a child fell in? There's also the ice skates. We can't be too anxious now. There's not enough iron. Most of it is used in the industry and military. The ice carts don't use much iron. 2 iron wires and 2 thicker iron nails will do. We can't use an ice stick that is made of iron. Zhang Xiaobao added another sentence. You can think about it yourself. I'll go take a look around and bring Xiaobei and the others to play. Wang Wan got up and looked for Xiaobei and the others to skate. There were very few people in the ice skating rink who could skate on the ice as easily as Xiaobei and the others. They had played before. The other children couldn't even stand. Only a few talented people could put on ice skates for the first time and get used to it for a short while before being able to skate. The others could only push a chair. The sound of wood rubbing against ice could be heard in the rink. It was very lively. However, Zhang Xiaobao could tell from the clothes of the people that he had just seen that not many of them were from ordinary families. They were all the kind that had a bit of money. Perhaps only they were willing to spend 50 copper coins to play once. Zhang Xiaobao didn't have any good ideas about this. He couldn't let all the people of the Great Tang play. If it was just a cold place in the north, perhaps with some effort in the winter, most people could afford to play as long as they wanted to without making any money. It rarely snowed in the south, and even when it snowed, it wouldn't freeze easily. The cost was too high, and many people probably couldn't afford to play. They couldn't afford to play because it wasn't worth it. In contrast, they couldn't afford to play. There was always a choice between eating meat and playing. Brother, there's no one competing. Xiaobei turned around and came to Zhang Xiaobao's side. Looking at the scene of people pushing chairs, she asked. Because there are too few people who know how to play. After the new year, when more people know how to play, your precious candy house will be able to give out prizes. Why don't you discuss with the people who play polo and organize an activity? You can give out prizes. Zhang Xiaobao hugged his sister and said with a smile. Xiaobei shook her head. Polo won't do. Those who can play polo are all rich people. If they don't have money, they can't even afford to buy a horse. Even if I don't advertise them, as long as they want to eat sweets and pastries, or give them away, they will choose my precious candy house first. Like you said, eating isn't just a matter of food, but also a kind of identity. I'd better go and play, could you? There are many people who play this game. I'll set up new rules for them. According to the rules that you and sister said, it's meaningless to always see who can kick high and who can kick accurately. Oh, that's good. Go and do it. When the time comes to organize it, you can make more money. Remember not to get involved in gambling projects. Keep an eye on the players. Don't let others bribe them. Otherwise, the game won't be good. Zhang Xiaobao thought that his sister was just casually saying it, so he followed along and didn't take it to heart. Xiaobei nodded seriously. Okay, I'll do this. When the time comes, I'll definitely come up with the best Kuji team in Tang Dynasty. After saying that, Xiaobei turned around and went back to skiing. Zhang Xiaobao continued to sit and enjoy a rare moment of leisure. Chinese New Year's Eve came just like that. Every household in Tang Dynasty prepared for the new year. Even those who didn't have a good life wanted to have a good new year. If they couldn't afford mutton, they would buy pork. If it was especially difficult, the local government would naturally take care of it. Li Longji asked Zhang Xiaobao to transfer the money over. During the process, there might be corruption in the price difference, but the people in the local government definitely wouldn't dare to keep the money. Those who didn't buy things and didn't have a good life would be in great danger if they were caught. In terms of living conditions, the best place was naturally the capital. The lives of the people in the capital were generally better than elsewhere. They could do more work, even if it was to help people carry goods. Even if it was to sell snacks, there was still a lot of work waiting for them to do. Therefore, the new year was more festive. Every family bought firecrackers. Those with good hands made their own lanterns. Those who didn't had to buy them. There were all kinds of lanterns. In the afternoon, they were hung up with candles inside. There were electric lights in special places. They were also painted with a layer of color on the outside. For example, the Imperial Palace and the properties of the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family. As for other places, there were no conditions. The first diesel generator that was made was used to light up the streets of the capital. It was heavily guarded and didn't give others a chance to steal it. Although it couldn't be dismantled and made, it still couldn't be done. It had to be kept a secret. There were too many technologies involved. Zhang Xiaobao brought his younger siblings to put up the New Year pictures. Wang Wan went to instruct people to arrange for the villagers from Sanshui County. They couldn't return to Sanshui County for the New Year this year. Therefore, the villagers of the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family got together and discussed. They sent many people to the capital to spend the New Year with the main family. As for the expenses, they didn't think about it at all. All of them were very rich. In order to get a place to come, they fought and fought. In the end, they reached an agreement. The children and the elderly were all in the crowd. It couldn't be all adults who came to spend the New Year with them. Without children, it wouldn't be lively. When they arrived in the capital, they naturally had to arrange a place for them to stay. The only regret was that they couldn't spend the New Year's Eve with the main family of the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family in the same place. Li Longji chose to spend the New Year in the hibiscus garden. People from various industries were selected to accompany the emperor. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's families naturally had to accompany Li Longji. There were limited places. When the dumplings were served, the sound of firecrackers for the New Year sounded almost at the same time. The medical center and the people in charge of putting out the fire were nervous. Although the quality of the firecrackers was good, and the people who made them were very serious, it was easy for people to be injured. In the hibiscus garden, Li Longji sat in a relatively high place happily. He ate a mouthful of dumplings first. Only then did the people who were invited eat. They ate very carefully, afraid that the emperor would suddenly ask, how could they eat dumplings in their mouths? Xiao Bei found more than 100 children. They ran around and were very happy. Xiao Bao, in the future, we will celebrate with the people every year. Help me think, where should we go for the New Year's Eve dinner next year? Li Longji looked at the performance on the stage. When the sound of the firecrackers died down, he asked Zhang Xiaobao, who was accompanying him. It seems to be too early to think about next year. It's better to wait until then. Actually, it doesn't matter where it is. What's important is that the venue is big enough to hold more people. Next year, you can let the people in many places see your appearance and hear your voice. We'll record it in advance and pretend that you only said it during the New Year. When the New Year's Eve comes, we'll show it to the people together with the recorded performances. Unfortunately, there's no live broadcast. That thing is still too far away. Zhang Xiaobao was a little bored as he accompanied Li Longji. The performance on the stage was very good, but Zhang Xiaobao was not interested in it. If it weren't for the fact that he wanted to let his younger siblings have fun, he wouldn't even care if they didn't celebrate the New Year. Wang Wang was the same. She sat there and felt sleepy. If it weren't for the firecrackers, she would have fallen asleep easily. The others didn't have the same experience as the two of them, especially the people from all walks of life who were invited. They were able to enjoy such a good performance while eating delicious food. For a moment, they felt that their lives were not in vain. To be able to experience such a thing once in a lifetime was enough. Even Li Longji found it very interesting. This was because many of the performances this year were set by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Not only were there singing and dancing performances, there were also many skits and crosstalk performances. There were also acrobatic performances, magic, and so on. Li Longji couldn't bear to take his eyes off the stage. When the performance that established the positive image of soldiers was over, Li Longji asked Zhang Xiaobao, Xiaobao, when do you plan to leave after the New Year? I think it will be in March. After the 15th, the new work in the imperial court will have to be arranged. The money collected in the last 2 months of last year will also have to be calculated. After that, Cuckoo will have to participate in the military examination. We can only leave after the examination is over. At that time, the weather will be a little warmer, and it won't be hard to walk. Zhang Xiaobao had long since made up his mind and told Li Longji about it. In fact, even if they left in March next year, it would still be very cold when they arrived. If it snowed this year, the snow might not have melted, but they would be able to see more greenery. Li Longji nodded and looked back at the stage. At this time, Xiaobei ran over and said happily to her brother, "Brother, when I was playing with them just now, they said that they wanted to form a cheerleading team to cheer for our team. Isn't that awesome?" "Awesome. What's the name of your team?" Zhang Xiaobao saw that his sister had brought up the topic of football again, so he followed along and asked. "It's called the Victorious Kuji Team. There are a total of more than 30 people. During the competition, according to the rules that you and sister said, 11 people can go up. The people I picked are all awesome people, so it will definitely be victorious." "Brother, don't you think so?" Xiaobei shook her head, looking as if she had a card up her sleeve. Yes. When I heard the name, I also thought that the Kuji team would be very awesome. They would get a few more victories." Zhang Xiaobao naturally wouldn't say anything against it. It didn't matter what name they gave it. Wasn't it just for fun? What he didn't know was that Xiaobei's 9 people had already established the team a few days before the new year. They even had an internal competition. They used the name of Precious Candy House to find people and pay them. Xiaobei's 9 people planned to wait until the 5th day of the new year to find someone to compete with. "Okay, I'll continue to talk to them about the cheerleading team." Xiaobei ran away happily. The lively 30th day passed just like that. The next day, many people woke up very late. The night watch was too long, so they only went to bed in the morning. Especially those who were overly excited because they were invited. They first lay down and couldn't sleep. Then they didn't want to wake up. Xiaobei's 9 people were even more so. They only opened their eyes in the afternoon of the first day of the new year, when they felt hungry. Immediately, the people in charge of the shift came to serve them. After eating their fill, the 9 children gathered together to discuss their own important matters, while they had a few days of rest during the new year. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had to follow their families to welcome the people who came to pay New Year's greetings. Due to different customs, the 2 of them had to welcome and send off people. Some people would pay New Year's greetings on the first day of the new year, while others wouldn't go out the entire day. They didn't even take out the garbage. The sanitation workers in charge of cleaning the streets had a harder time. They drove the cars, swept up the firecrackers, and moved them away. When the sun came out, the streets were already cleaned. Li Longji, who was becoming more and more considerate, knew that the sanitation workers worked hard, so he gave them a lot of overtime pay. The money they earned during the new year was equivalent to 2 months of their usual income. Therefore, each and every one of them worked very seriously. They felt that it was worth it to be a little tired. In addition to the sanitation workers, there were also people who had been sticking to their posts. They also received a lot of compensation. Even the farmers who worked for the main family received more rewards than usual. This was all because of the relationship between the Zhang family and the Wang family in Sanshui County. With people from Zhuangzi, the relationship between the Zhang family and the Wang family could be written into a big book. Especially the farmers. All of them were very loyal and didn't slack off when they worked. Therefore, they tried to give more benefits to their own farmers. They found that not only did their family's income not decrease, it increased instead. On the 5th day of the new year, Xiaobei and the others still hadn't gone to do their own things. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan found them and went to Xingqing Palace to play together. "Are you looking for Uncle Emperor to eat?" Xiaobei had been afraid for the past few days. No matter where she went, she could smell the strong smell of meat. Especially when she went out to do things. As long as she lightly sniffed, there would definitely be a strong smell of meat floating over. In the beginning, she was very happy, because it meant that the people in the capital were living better lives. But after smelling it, she felt disgusted. Only when she was at home did she feel better. There wasn't much meat at home, except for the food that had to be made during the new year. Everything else was about the same as usual. Xiaobei naturally thought that when she went to the palace, there would be too much meat waiting for her to eat. How terrifying was that? Wang Wan knew what Xiaobei was thinking. She smiled and said, "We're not going to eat. We're going to take you to watch cartoons. The thing has been made. I think it will be damaged after one performance. Uncle Emperor will also watch it together." "Oh, it's good that you don't have to eat. I'm scared. The cartoons are done? Let's go quickly," Xiaobei urged. The group of people sped up and directly went to Xingqing Palace. Li Longji was also waiting. There were many people busy in the courtyard. A large shed was first set up, blocking the surroundings, making it dark inside. There were also people carefully holding bundles of glass pieces, gently lifting and placing them. Li Longji already knew the principle, but he hadn't seen it in detail. While watching others busy, he occasionally said a few words to Gao Lisher. He wasn't the only one watching. Many concubines, palace maids, and eunuchs in the palace also gathered to the side. As long as the shed was big enough, more people could go in. When Zhang Xiaobao arrived, the glass pieces were all carried into the shed. There were even people who specially hung a large piece of white cloth in front of the electric lamps. They adjusted the angle of the light so that it shone on the white cloth. Xiaobei and the others anxiously waited until someone said it was done. Only then did they rush in and find a good place to sit. From time to time, they would look back at the place where the light came from. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also sat down with Li Longji. The others were naturally arranged by others. When everything was stable, the glass pieces on the other side were quickly rolled up. A continuous animation appeared on the white cloth in front of the shed. Only Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were used to this. The others had never seen this before. Although there was no sound, they were very shocked. Li Longji's mouth was opened by Weiwei. Suddenly there was a sound. There was the sound of a cat and a mouse moving in the animation, as well as background music. When they looked in the direction of the sound, they saw many people busy there. In fact, the dubbers were already in position when the scene started. They had practiced a few times in private. This time, because the emperor was present, they were nervous. The person in charge of directing didn't do the action properly, so there was a blank period. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan chose the style of a cat and a mouse. This was because there was no need to speak. Just by looking at their actions, they could know what they were trying to express. The cat and mouse were drawn very cartoonish. This was achieved by correcting the animation over and over again. Otherwise, the animators would have to show their own style. The background of the animation was also the current situation in Great Tang. There was nothing that should not be there. For example, there was no television. There were sofas, chairs, and so on. There were also no high-rise buildings in the environment. After Zhang Xiaobao saw it, he curled his lips. The animation was too bad. Sometimes there would be a short pause. It was obvious that there was a problem with the glass at the back. When that thing was pulled quickly, it was not as good as film. Wang Wan also had a calm expression. There was nothing to be excited about. If there was anything to be excited about, it would be because the first animation had appeared in Great Tang. It would be written in the history books and emphasized that the first animation had appeared because Zhang Xiaobei and the other 9 people wanted to watch it. Yes, it would be written like that. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan could be calm, but the others could not. Xiaobei's eyes were wide open. From time to time, he would point at the cat that was being bullied and laugh. The palace maids and eunuchs were also trying hard to hold back their laughter. As long as Li Longji heard Xiaobei laugh, he would definitely laugh out loud. Just as everyone was enjoying themselves, the animation suddenly ended. It was a little more than a quarter of an hour. About 20 minutes later, the animation was over. Is there more? I still want to watch it. Xiaobei turned around and looked at the area where the light was coming from. Although there would be a pause from time to time when the glass at the back was pulled out, the next roll had to be pulled, so there was a pause. However, no one cared. Everyone had tacitly agreed that the animation was continuous. Even when the scene changed, everyone could immediately understand what was going on. A quarter of an hour was like an instant in everyone's hearts. It had just started and it ended. It was really not satisfying. After Xiaobei asked, Li Longji also asked, "Is there more?" Zhang Xiaobao shook his head regretfully. "There's no more. In just a quarter of an hour, more than 20,000 pieces of glass have been used. The people behind have to keep working. If things go wrong, someone might get hurt. I'll ask them later." Even so, the animation speed is still not good. It can't reach 24 times per second. Let's just make do with it. There's no more? Xiaobei also felt regretful. If only we had that much more time. Bro, let's continue. I can take out my pocket money. It's really fun. Okay, let's continue. Furthermore, this can be replayed. If there are any broken pieces of glass, just replace them. If we make another one, we'll have to wait. It's very time-consuming. When the film comes out in the future, I'll make 100 episodes for you first, and let you take them to your precious candy house to play. Zhang Xiaobao knew that it was not easy to make. But so what? It was fine as long as his younger brother and sister liked it. Furthermore, after it was made, if they let the rich buy tickets outside to watch it, they would probably be able to recoup the cost in just a few episodes. Was it expensive to watch it 100 times per episode? Alright, I still want to watch that cat and that mouse. Why do they look so cute? They look like humans. Seeing that his brother had agreed, Xiaobei happily described the actions of the animals in the animation that he had just watched. Even though he had only watched it once, Xiaobei could still describe it pretty well. The others were also reminiscing about the scene that they had seen in the past 15 minutes. Today they had broadened their horizons. There was actually such a wonderful thing in the world. They had never heard of it before. Xiaobao, leave this thing in the palace first. We will watch it 2 more times. Oh, when we watch it, we will definitely call Xiaobei and the others. We will wait for the new one to be made. You can take the old one and earn money. Li Longji opened his mouth to ask Zhang Xiaobao. Suddenly, he saw Xiaobei looking up and pouting, so he could only add on. Zhang Xiaobao knew what Li Longji meant. There were many people in the palace. After hearing about it from those who had never seen it before, they would keep thinking about it, and would not be able to do things properly. It was better to watch it together, and see what was strange. Thus he nodded and agreed. Even though Xiaobei was still a little reluctant, he could only endure it. When the time came, when Uncle Emperor saw it, he would definitely come. Li Longji went to the back, and looked at the people who were busy just now. No one was injured, but a few hundred pieces of glass were broken. They would have to be redrawn. They had been pulling too quickly just now, and had broken them. Looking at the pieces of glass, Li Longji suddenly said, "According to this drawing method, won't we be able to draw our movements?" "Yes, we can draw it. Your Majesty, why would you draw yourself? How long will it take you to draw it once? If it suddenly breaks, we will have to redraw it. Moreover, it is impossible to broadcast it everywhere. It is inconvenient to transport it, and it is not easy to repair it after it breaks. It is better to wait for the film to come out." Zhang Xiaobao first admitted that Li Longji's idea was good, but then rejected it. Li Longji's character movements were not as attractive as cartoons. Once it was produced, it could only be shown to a small number of people. It would not be able to be sold outside to earn money. More importantly, the shape of a character was much more difficult to draw than a cartoon. Cartoons only needed to be drawn according to a certain style, and look like a cartoon. However, if a character had to be realistic, it would take a lot of effort. When drawing a character, they would have to draw a small piece of glass. It was estimated that the time it took an artist to draw a character would be enough to draw 50 cartoons. Zhang Xiaobao explained this principle to Li Longji. Li Longji's hope that had just risen was gone again. He wanted his character to appear in the eyes of all the people of Great Tang. Just like a cartoon, it had to be coherent and look like a real person. Now he could only temporarily give up on this plan, and continue to wait for the film to come out. He hoped that the production would be faster. Waiting was really making him anxious. The glass piece was put back by the staff, and the shed was removed. After the show ended, the palace maids and eunuchs returned to their posts, and began to talk to the others about what the cartoon was, how fun it was, what the cat and mouse looked like, why the two animals would fight, why the mouse bullied the cat, and so on. Thus, the thing that Li Longji was worried about happened. Although the palace maids and eunuchs who had not seen it with their own eyes did not dare to slack off, they still occasionally fell into a trance, even if they tried their best not to think about it. Some of them would even dream at night, and say a few words in their sleep. In the end, Li Longji urged the staff to fix the glass piece the next day, and play it again. Xiaobei and the others came again and watched it. On the third day, they continued to play it again. Only after playing it twice did the palace maids and eunuchs finally calm down and get back to work. However, their conversation still revolved around the cartoon. They began to think about when they would be able to watch the next episode together. Xiaobei and the others began to study again. Most of their time was spent on studying. Occasionally, they could go out to play and participate in their soccer match. The 15th day of the first lunar month was gradually approaching. The people who had just celebrated the new year were once again happily busy. The price of meat and vegetables was also very high, 30% more than usual. However, Zhang Xiaobao did not care. It was the new year, so it was normal. After the new year, the price would naturally fall. On the 15th day of the month, one could also see the moon by watching the lanterns. Taking advantage of the cold weather, many ice sculptures were placed on the streets of the capital. There was space left for candles, making the entire capital look sparkling and translucent. Li Longji, who had just invited people from various industries, once again hosted a banquet at Hibiscus Garden. Those who came last time did not have to come this time. There was a lantern festival, a variety of stuffed lantern festival dumplings, and also a large-scale party. They even played the cartoon, which shocked countless people. They did not know what was going on beforehand, let alone understand the principle behind it. They thought that the animals in the cartoon were real people. Oh, they really looked like a cat and a mouse. They were probably the celestial cat and mouse from the immortal palace. Otherwise, why would they be in the cartoon? Furthermore, they could wear clothes. Therefore, after the Lantern Festival on the 15th day of the month, rumors began to spread in the capital. It was said that celestial animals had come down to perform for the emperor. Each and every one of them became more and more amazing as the rumors spread. Zhang Xiaobao knew that it was time to open the market and make money. Chapter 982. While Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were helping out with the last 2 months of taxes, Xiaobei had already taken out the cartoon and played it. This time it was free of charge. It was only for the children who had spent money at Baby's Candy House. If they wanted to watch it in the future, they would have to pay for it. According to the price set by Zhang Xiaobao, it was 100 strings of cash. As a result, the sales of Baby's Candy House increased greatly. In order to watch the cartoon, the children bought candy and pastries with all their might. Under such circumstances, Xiaobei and the others discussed and decided to sell the goods at a discount. This set off another wave of purchases and allowed Xiaobei and the others to earn a lot of money. Adding on the money they had earned during the new year, they no longer had to worry about not having enough pocket money. If something were to happen somewhere, they could still fork out money to help. Just as Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were feeling happy for their younger siblings, they suddenly realized that something was wrong with Xiaobei and the others during lunch one day. Even Jun Air and Pan Air, who played with them, were unhappy. Zhang Xiaobao saw this and felt that he had to ask. Xiaobei, Baby's Candy House's business is not bad. Keep up the good work, and let us earn even more. As for your cartoon, as long as you fork out the production costs, the rest of the money will belong to you and be used to realize your dreams. Tell me, what other dreams do you have? Zhang Xiaobao first praised his sister, and then gave away the profits from the cartoon. Only then did he casually ask about their dreams. Mine. Our dream is to let the ever-victorious Kuju play and win the game. We have already lost 3 games in a row. Xiaobei said sadly, as if losing the game was not right. Little Yuan added, we only played 3 matches in total, and we didn't win a single one. Furthermore, we were competing against 3 different teams, all with 11 people. Furthermore, we felt that we had a better grasp of the rules. Who knew that once we started playing, we would still lose? Aya. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan suddenly understood, So it was because the football team lost the game. The two of them really didn't know about this matter. When Xiaobei said that she wanted to play Kuju, she was actually very serious. Zhang Xiaobao thought that his sister was just casually saying it. He didn't expect that she would be so serious. It looked like he had to find a way to let the football team win. Therefore, Zhang Xiaobao asked, "Can you tell me how you looked like at that time? How did you lose? Is it because your defense is bad, or your offense is bad? Is it because your individual skills are bad, or is your overall coordination not good enough?" Xiaobei and the others shook their heads with every question their brother asked. They had no idea what was going on. Anyway, they just lost the ball and let the other party get the ball into the goal. If he said that his own team did not work hard, he would be wrongly accusing them. When they were on the field, they did not know how to rest at all. They ran back and forth with all their might. Moreover, after losing the competition, the people in the team were even sadder than them. Some people even knelt on the lawn and cried loudly. They were as sad as they could be, but they just could not win. After the first match, they gathered together to discuss it. They came up with many ideas, but they lost the second match. When they discussed it again, they still lost. There was no end to the losses. "Oh, is that so? Then I have to see it for myself. Isn't the lawn prickly?" Zhang Xiaobao could only accompany his siblings to watch the match when he realized that he couldn't get an answer. "It's not prickly. It's just that it's made of hay. There's no green grass, so it doesn't hurt to fall on the hay. It's just that when we kicked the ball, the grass flew everywhere. There's too much dust. We decided to cancel the lawn next time and switch to soft soil. That way, it won't be a problem even if we fall." Xiaobei explained and continued, "I know that losing the game has nothing to do with the grass. Everyone is playing on the same ground. We can't blame the grass, nor can we blame the people who kicked the ball. They worked very hard." Xiaoyuan echoed, "That's right. If there's a mistake, it's also on us. Where did we not do well? I saw that they all had a few people on the side giving instructions. We didn't understand, so we could only cheer them on. No problem. Trust me. After watching the match, I'll be able to make your team win." Zhang Xiaobao wasn't that confident, but he had to act like he could do anything. Who knew if the three teams that won didn't have a powerful star player on the team? A powerful person could do a lot of things. "I knew you weren't worried. You'll definitely make us win. Let's eat. There's a match tomorrow. The people who just finished today can't play. Another batch of people will go up." Xiaobei's mood improved again. The other 8 children also ate happily. Even Jun-er and Pan-er clumsily picked up their chopsticks to eat. Emotions were very influential. After Zhang Xiaobao finished eating, he continued to teach his younger siblings. In the evening, when he was chatting with Wang Wan, he thought of this matter and said, "Maybe Xiaobei can really make the Tang dynasty's football rejuvenate. The football played now is too civilized. The confrontation isn't fierce. It's not like what the books said in the past. It's said that there's even the art of war in it. I know. We also had the art of war in it back then. I reckon that compared to the ancient times, our football was only stronger, not weaker. That's because football was a very large industry at that time. All kinds of people specialized in studying it. There were also videos for people to watch over and over again." Wang Wan replied. She also compared the football of the two periods and came to a conclusion. Zhang Xiaobao followed and said, "It should be said that under the rules of our time, the research on football was relatively good. If the rules were changed, it might not be possible. Fortunately, Xiaobei and the others used the rules that we explained to them. It shouldn't be very difficult. Let's wait and see. Didn't they say that the people of the ancient times were physically inferior to the people of the present? Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many records broken. The people of the modern era have good nutrition, and the other have strong professionalism. It seems that Xiaobei is really counting on football to make money." Wang Wan analyzed again. "Yes, but if we keep losing, we won't be making money, but losing money. Let's sleep. We'll go and take a look tomorrow," Zhang Xiaobao said as he hugged Wang Wan. The two of them leaned against each other and fell asleep. Early the next morning, Xiaobei hurriedly ate a meal, brought a lot of snacks, and organized a large team to go to the football field. The football field was outside the city. It was a place that had not been completed yet. Xiaobei found it with great difficulty. He also found someone to contact the other football teams and told them the rules. The other team was unwilling to agree at first, but Xiaobei's identity was different, so they agreed. That meant that they would play with Xiaobei and the others. At the beginning of the game, the other team was already prepared to lose. They thought that the people that Xiaobei found would be very good. But when they played, they found that they were not as good as they imagined. There was also a possibility of winning, so they won. Xiaobei and the others who lost were very magnanimous. They did not find trouble in other aspects. So there were many people who were willing to play with them. This was because Xiaobei and the others promised the other team that if they lost, they would treat the other team to a meal at the Joy House. If the other team lost, they would take out 10 strings of money to support the development of the team. They would give the money to Xiaobei first. In the summer, Xiaobei would get people to plant lawns and build a good football field. Those who wanted to play with Xiaobei did not think that Xiaobei would not use the money on the construction. They did not lack this bit of money. It was just a wager. In the end, Xiaobei and the others treated them 3 times in a row. Of course, because it was in their own restaurant, the cost of the dishes was not high. The other team was also embarrassed to order expensive dishes. Just like that, more and more people wanted to play with the victorious football team. They had already lost 3 games in a row, and were probably not good enough. The team that Xiaobei and the others were playing with today was the team that won the first time. It was called Victorious. They probably came up with this name at the last minute, after hearing the name of Xiaobei's team. When Xiaobei arrived, the other team was already waiting. There were also many spectators. Of course, the spectators now would not pay for tickets. There was a large open space around them, and no one had surrounded it. Anyone could come over if they wanted to. When Xiaobei arrived, he did not say any nonsense. He directly told the other team that they could begin. Hence the game began. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan waited for the game to start before coming over. They did not want to give the other team any pressure. If they came before the game started, the other team would probably be worried that they were backed by Xiaobei and the others. They would say that they were bullying Xiaobei and so on. How would they play then? The two of them even put on some makeup and squeezed in between the people on Xiaobei's side. They looked at the field and frowned at the same time. What kind of football is this? Everyone is playing together? Isn't there a strategy? Zhang Xiaobao whispered to Wang Wan. Wang Wan was also very surprised. How could this be? Other than the goalkeeper who did not move, there were 10 people on each side. Wherever the ball was, they would surround it. There was no formation at all. Occasionally, there would be 1 or 2 people who were smarter. They would first judge the situation, estimate where the ball would be kicked, and run over in advance. Then if the point was right, the ball would appear at their feet. They would then attack. If the point was wrong, there would be 1 less person in front of them squeezing to grab the ball. Their own team members would shout at them, saying that they were running around blindly and slacking off. Wang Wan watched for a while and said, "Could it be that there are problems with the field and the rules that make them squeeze together? Because they are now competing to see who can kick the ball higher. They must have a lot of strength. When the ball falls, it will take a relatively long time, so they have more time to run to that place." Listening to Wang Wan's words, Zhang Xiaobao pondered and found that this was really the case. When everyone was there to grab the ball, as long as they grabbed it, they would kick it high up in the air instead of passing it low. This had something to do with the current football atmosphere. "If that's the case, I know why Xiaobei's team lost," Zhang Xiaobao said with certainty. "Why?" Wang Wan asked. "Because of bad luck and bad points, they lost 3 games in a row. Or is it because the goalkeeper is not good? The opponent is attacking. This ball is too floating. It will probably go straight out of the in line and can't go in." As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, the opponent kicked the ball toward the goal of the team that always won. But it was wide and very high. After landing, it would roll out. But the fact shocked Zhang Xiaobao. It was not what he thought. The goalkeeper on his side took the initiative to greet them, and looked like he was determined to get the ball. Then 20 people also ran there with smoke and dust. The goalkeeper on his side was the first to touch the ball. He did not take it with his hands but with his feet. After getting the ball, he glanced at the crowd that was rushing over. Then he dribbled the ball while avoiding the crowd and rushed diagonally to the other side's goal. When he saw this situation, Zhang Xiaobao's mouth was wide open, and Wang Wan also had a blank expression. I admit that the luck I just said is not everything. There are many objective reasons. After the goalkeeper on his side found that he could not outrun the others, he kicked the ball toward the opponent's goal with all his strength, but he did not run back quickly. Zhang Xiaobao admitted his mistake. Then he saw the opponent's goalkeeper also run out and kicked the ball. The football spun toward the other side's half of the field, and the 20 people ran back to the ball's landing point. This time they caught up, and then one of the opponents kicked the ball toward the goal of the team that always won. Zhang Xiaobao watched the goalkeeper on his side start to run back and chase the ball. Oh, amazing! The ball was actually stopped by him at the last moment. Damn, he came out again. He is really stupid. Look at the opponent's goalkeeper. At least he did not take the initiative to attack. He just kicked the ball to our side of the field. I guess that's how they lost. Our goalkeeper is too well-rounded. He can play any position on the field, and is working hard to do so. On the other hand, the other side's goalkeeper is too lazy and his skills are not well-rounded enough. He can't play the forward position, so he stays behind. Zhang Xiaobao gritted his teeth and praised the goalkeeper on his side. He really put in a lot of effort. His stamina looked good. If it was not for his slow running speed when he dribbled the ball, it was estimated that he could fly all over the field. Hearing Zhang Xiaobao's words, Wang Wan smiled and said, "With your mouth, tell Bei Bei to tell our goalkeeper not to leave the big penalty area. Don't leave the small one either. Just stay there." Zhang Xiaobao called for his sister. Bei Bei came over to listen to his brother, nodded, ran behind his own goal, and shouted to the goalkeeper, "You stay at the door, the small frame. You are not allowed to go out." "I'm not tired. Don't worry, I can do it." The goalkeeper thought Bei Bei was afraid that he would be tired, so he said that to himself. No one cares if you are tired or not. Listen to orders now. You are not allowed to go out. Remember, if you go out, I will teach you a lesson. After Bei Bei finished shouting, she ran back to her brother's side and watched quietly. She wanted to see if her brother's words were effective. The game on the field continued. There were still 20 people crazily fighting for the ball. However, Bei Bei's team did not lose the goal as easily as before. This was because the goalkeeper had become a real goalkeeper. He no longer played as a defender, midfielder, or even a forward. The match lasted for 45 minutes, and the first half ended after 45 minutes. This time, Xiao Bei jumped up and cheered, because in the first half, her team had scored 6 goals against the other team, while the other team had only scored 2 goals. The other team's goalkeeper couldn't play as a forward, but he liked to play as a defender, and he also wandered outside. Then, when he could not directly touch the ball with his hands, he could only helplessly kick it with his feet. Sometimes, if he did not kick well, the ball would pass through, and it would become a situation where 21 people chased after it. We won. The first half was not bad. Continue to work hard in the second half. I said before that our team can do it. Goalkeeper, you have to stay at the goal in the second half. Don't always run forward. This time, it's because you stayed where you were supposed to stay that we got the lead. Bei Bei asked someone to bring the warm soup over for the players to drink. She encouraged and praised them at the side. In fact, when they lost the 3 games, she did not show any sadness on her face. Like today, she still encouraged and told the players not to be anxious. This was because she knew that the players had already worked very hard. No matter whether it was on the field or during training, there was no fault to be found. Recently, Bei Bei and the others could always see that during training, when the players were tired, they did not even have the energy to take a shower. They just fell asleep on the Kong. The wages given to them were also deposited in the bank, saying that it was for their families to spend together. After losing 3 games in a row, the players did not want to be paid no matter what. According to Xiao Yuan, this was a team that was willing to work hard, willing to train with their lives on the line, willing to know how to save, and also knew shame. It was just that the 9 of them did not command well. And it was not the players' fault. Bei Bei now agreed with Xiao Yuan's statement. Big Brother was Big Brother. He was really amazing. How did he know that the goalkeeper could win the game if he stayed and did not go? At this time, the other side was very depressed. How could they lose? The last time they played, they won very easily. Furthermore, Bei Bei's team played continuously. This time, they sent a substitute lineup. A total of 11 people were changed, and the rules were slightly changed. Could the substitutes play better than the main force? It should not be. It was obvious that these 11 people's skills were a lot worse than the main forces. So they had to figure it out. The head of the football team walked over to Bei Bei's side, wanting to see what was going on. At the same time, he wanted to thank Bei Bei and the others. They had also brought soup out. On the field, they were competitors, but outside the field, they could be friends. Just as he arrived at Bei Bei's side and saw Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who had slightly disguised themselves in the crowd, everything became clear. It turned out that the other side's command was not Bei Bei's 9 people, but Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. No wonder the substitute lineup played at such a level. Their command was very good. Yes, that was what the head of Sherwin thought. He had never doubted whether Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not know Kuju. In his heart, the two of them knew everything. Seeing that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had no intention of coming over to talk, he thanked Bei Bei's 9 people, turned around, hung his head, and returned to his team. It was needless to say how depressed he was. After telling the matter to the team members, the morale of the team members was even lower. One of the team members muttered unhappily, "This is too much of a bully. It's just a game of Kuju. Do the two of them have to come over personally? We can't go to the Success residence today. Bei Bei just lost in a row, but he actually called his brother and sister over. They're really bullying us. Okay, stop complaining. Play well in the second half. How are they bullying us? According to you, if we play with Bei Bei and the others, are we also bullying the children?" The head of the football team thought it through and encouraged his team members. He also thought hard about where the problem was. Could it be the other side's goalkeeper? Just now, when Bei Bei went over and shouted, the goalkeeper did not move like a decoration. Was that really the case? Chapter 983. While the leader of the Sherwin team was pondering, the Always Win team scored. The morale of the team played its role at this moment. After Xiao Bei's team won the first half, they came back and saw that the commanders were Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. They understood in their hearts. Immediately, their blood surged, and they seemed to have endless energy. As long as they didn't win a few games, they wouldn't be able to face the strong players that Xiao Bei had recruited. They were all full of confidence. The other team was discouraged. They felt too much pressure and lost the confidence to win. It wasn't that they were afraid that Zhang Xiaobao would get angry because his sister had lost 3 games, but they didn't think that they could win with Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's commands. Zhang Xiaobao made a helpless expression and said to Wang Wan, "Look, their aura suddenly came out. There's nothing we can do. Come on, don't be so happy. If you really meet a competition team that can perform on the spot, let's see what you can do. The greater the pressure, the better the performance." Wang Wan mercilessly attacked Zhang Xiaobao's narcissistic behavior. "Simple, buy them and make them our team," Zhang Xiaobao said indifferently. Xiao Bei hurriedly pulled on his brother's clothes. "Brother, I believe that our team can do it. If we don't buy other teams, they can definitely do better." Zhang Xiaobao looked at his sister, who was showing her innocence at this moment. He really wanted to talk to her about the cruelty of competitive competitions. On the football field, a talented player was very powerful. An excellent striker could make the other team pay for defenders to mark him. But in the end, he didn't say it. Considering the football situation in front of them, even if they didn't have excellent players, they could temporarily achieve an overwhelming victory through tactics. Then he would do as his sister said. Xiao Bei is right. We don't buy other teams. We can continue to recruit people. When the main team is full, we can put them in the substitutes' positions. When the substitutes are full, we can also have a second team, or even a third team, or even a fourth team, including the youth team. We can cultivate our own strong players. Okay. I want our team to win all over the world. The other team's goalkeeper isn't coming out? He's actually learning from us. Just as Xiao Bei was feeling happy, he suddenly realized that after the opposing goalkeeper received the ball, he did not personally pass it out. After passing it out, he obediently guarded the goal. If the goalkeeper didn't come out, it would be difficult to get in. Nowadays, football depended on who could kick the ball higher and more accurately. However, the word accurate was different from what Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan wanted. The ball did not have any speed. If it went in a straight line, most of the goalkeepers would be able to block it. What the two asked for was not the accuracy of the kick into the goal, but to be able to accurately judge the position of the goalkeeper and the landing point of the ball. The harder it was to judge the trajectory of the ball, the better. Seeing that the competition between the two teams was getting more intense, and that it was harder to score, the other Kuju players around them seemed to have discovered a new continent and revealed expressions of understanding. For a moment, the game entered a state of stalemate. In the midst of the 20 people fighting, they finally found a chance to shoot. When they shot, the ball flew too straight, giving people the impression that they wanted to take the ball and smash the goalkeeper down. The goal was to smash him until he did not dare to defend. At this time, the goalkeeper showed a fearless spirit. Braving the danger of being covered in cuts and bruises, he opened his eyes wide and let people smash him. Wang Wan watched and laughed. She said to Zhang Xiaobao, "Husband, you're very capable. Think of another way." Zhang Xiaobao shook his head. "There's no other way. I really want to let them understand the concepts of the forward, the midfield, the fullback, the midfielders, the side forwards, and the other positions in 1 second. But is it possible? When I saw them play polo, the coordination of their positions was pretty good. Why did it change when they played football?" Wang Wan also thought about it. It's probably because the horses are squeezed together and can't run away. Let Li Longji command a football team. Maybe he can arrange the positions well. If you don't believe me, we can try. Let Xiao Bei invite him to play a game. If he loses, he can immediately think of a way to deal with it. More or less. In the story you told me, didn't you say that he defeated a foreign team in polo? Looks like I really have to pick out more sports to develop in the Tang Empire. There are no radios and no movies. Once the sky turns dark, they can only do one sport. Their bodies have not adjusted well, and the quality of their children is not high. I want people to have more children, but I don't want them to have a bunch of idiots and deformities. If not for Xiao Bei and the others being too stubborn, I wouldn't have taken this seriously. Sports that are not intense can also let people train their bodies. It's two different things from working out. Zhang Xiaobao did a deep reflection. He felt that there were many candidates for this. One of them was Li Longji. There was no doubt that Li Longji was very good at playing games. He was also more skilled in politics in the early days. Wang Wan had once said that Li Longji had become careless because the great Tang had truly given off a very stable appearance. Later on, due to his old age, his brain was no longer as good as before. He believed that the rise of the pear garden wasn't because Li Longji wanted to play with it. He must have realized that the people of Great Tang were gradually getting richer, and their pursuit of civilization had lessened. Thus, he set up the pear garden for everyone to play with, so that they wouldn't think of rebelling. The results proved that Li Longji did not have the foresight of a transmigrator. He did not know that there was a weapon that could hit his head when Lu Zhou fired it. No matter how he moved, he would not be able to dodge it. There was also a light from beyond the heavens that told him in advance that he would be hit. He would not be able to dodge it. That was why he let his guard down. Now he's finally afraid. He knows that there's still a powerful country. He doesn't even have the confidence to claim that the Tang Empire is the greatest under the heavens. However, we're not afraid. Who dares to compete with the Tang Empire now? Let's make our lives more colorful, Zhang Xiaobao said with a smile when he thought about Li Longji. Wang Wan thought about it for a moment before she said, "In theory, with diesel engines we can fly. I don't want it to create sonic booms when it flies. It'll be fine as long as it can fly. This will make Li Longji believe us more. What if he finds out that the earth is round one day? After a few decades, The fleet will have explored many places, Zhang Xiaobao asked. He'll be too old by then. Even if he's still alive and knows that the Earth is round, he should know that there are many planets out there. The people living on those planets can come and attack him at any time. Can he still be the emperor by then? Wang Wan was not concerned about this. That's right. We can't think too far ahead. Let's think about what's in front of us. As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, his eyes returned to the field. The score on the field had changed again. The team that always won was far ahead with 8 goals, while the team that was sure to win was behind with 3 goals. The scramble for the ball was still fierce, and the fight for every ball was very fierce. Zhang Xiaobao felt that if a player could show his individual skills when besieged by a group of people, then this player would definitely be extraordinary. He had never seen a striker who could break through the blockade of 10 defenders alone. Zhang Xiaobao saw with his own eyes that one of the forwards on his side ran very quickly and received the ball first. Then he made a feint to shoot. When the group of people on the other side changed direction and continued to rush towards him, he flicked the ball to the side and then raised his leg to shoot. In the end, the ball still went out of the goal, but Zhang Xiaobao had already memorized him. His feint and sideways movements when he lifted his leg to shoot, with a little bit of training, he could do it like a pendulum and a bicycle. He was a talent. He then asked his sister, who was standing next to him, Xiaobei, what's his name? He's number 6 on the field. Xiaobei answered very directly, I don't know. There are too many people so I can't remember. Is number 6 not good? I think his play is passable. It's very good. Find him later. I want to see how his individual skills are. Zhang Xiaobao confirmed that number 6 was the best player. Oh, Xiaobei agreed and paid attention to the game again. When the final whistle blew, the score of the game was 14 goals for always won, and 8 goals for sure to win. Seeing this score, Zhang Xiaobao was full of admiration. He knew how this big score came about, because at the end of the game, the players were tired of squeezing. Their energy and physical strength decreased at the same time. The balls that flew towards the goalkeeper were no longer so accurate. Moreover, there were fewer high balls and more low balls. The goalkeeper was still not used to the balls that flew from too low a position. The goal rate increased under such circumstances. If it was the opponent's team that played this game, it could be called a great counterattack. The players who came off the field were greeted with cheers from the audience. They were all exhausted. They ran all over the field. If they persevered, they would win. Xiaobei's team of 9 was very professional. They even had a medical team to help the 2 teams massage and relax. The 22 people groaned as they were massaged. It was unknown whether they were in pain or enjoying it. Zhang Xiaobao took a few steps forward and stood next to number 6 on his side. He said to sure to win, in a voice that they could hear. Today, I'll invite you to Joy House for a meal. It's my treat. It has nothing to do with winning or losing. You have to hand over the money you lost to my brother and sister. The opposing team's players finally showed a little smile. 10 bowls of money was nothing. Going to Joy House for a meal was far from this amount. Even if they lost the game, they would still earn. The adults also understood that Zhang Xiaobao did not pursue the fact that they won the first match against his brother and sister. Treating them to a meal meant that they would accompany his brother and sister to play. Voices of thanks sounded one after another. Zhang Xiaobao casually waved his hand and pulled a chair over. He sat next to number 6, who was being massaged, and asked, How old are you? How long have you played football? Young master, I've been playing football since I was 20. Oh, I've been playing football for 7-8 years. When I was brought here, I played the best football there. Number 6 endured the soreness and gritted his teeth as he answered. He understood that playing football was kicking the ball. Oh, when I was watching you just now, I saw you fake a shot and then push the ball away. How did you think of that? Zhang Xiaobao felt that the other party was a little older, but the other party had been playing for 8 years, and his skills were relatively fixed. He did not know if he could adapt to his teaching method faster. Number 6 was very nervous. He thought that Zhang Xiaobao said that he should not fake a shot, so he replied carefully, I'm used to it. When I played in the past, They always fought with me for the opportunity to shoot. Seeing that I was easy to bully, they would run over and touch me when I was about to shoot. So I couldn't play well. In order to avoid them, I first made a kicking motion. When they were about to touch me, I kicked the ball to the side. They would dodge it, and I could play for a while longer. Zhang Xiaobao suddenly understood and nodded. Very good. Let's go eat today, and drink 2 glasses of wine to promote blood circulation. Go to bed early at night. You don't have to train tomorrow when you wake up. Tell the others that you don't have to train either. I'll find time to watch you, and then teach you how to play football well. Yes, yes, young master, I'll remember. Number 6 became excited and shouted to the others. Young master said that from today until tomorrow, before young master comes, we are not allowed to train. Young master wants to teach us personally. His words caused the players of his team to roar. The people of the other teams could only watch. In the past 2 days, they also liked the new rules and felt that it was more fun than before. It was fun, and the purpose was to win. There were also 3 teams that consecutively beat Zhang Wang's team and Xiao Bei's team. They felt proud when they said this, but now they knew that good times did not last long. They had beaten Xiao Bei's team so badly that they called their older brother. From now on, they probably would not have the chance to beat them. It was all the fault of the 3 teams that won. Why didn't they let Xiao Bei's team win? Now it's over. Their older brother came, and they immediately won a game. Zhang Xiaobao felt the atmosphere around him, and generously let everyone go to Joy House to eat. If everyone was familiar with each other, they would be able to play more comfortably in the future. They shouldn't act like enemies when they meet. It was easy to cause too much emotional and personal harm. When it was time to eat, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not go. They carried the sleepy Jun-er and Pan-er home. Xiao Bei's team of 9 followed them. They had to properly praise their team members. Zhang Xiaobao returned. Just as he settled Jun-er and Pan-er down, the eunuch Luo Bin came over with a food box. Inside was the food prepared by Gao Lisher. It was sealed and sealed to prove that no one had touched it. Zhang Xiaobao did not even check the seal, and directly tore it off. He did not forget to give Luo Bin a big red packet. It was not that he did not care if the food was poison, but he knew that no one would have the chance to poison it. When his godfather was in the palace, he would send out a few groups of people to keep watch. When he was outside the palace gates, there were other eunuchs following him. There were also people secretly monitoring his own home. There were 4 dishes, and 1 soup in the food box. The 4 dishes were all vegetables. The soup was fish soup. It smelled good. He called Wang Wan to eat together, and also added a bowl and chopsticks for Luo Bin. Luo Bin did not refuse. He picked up the chopsticks and spoon, and ate a mouthful of each dish and soup. Then, he rarely ate the dishes and ate the rice in his bowl. When Zhang Xiaobao and Pan-er were almost done eating and slowed down, Luo Bin began to speak. Young master, His Majesty asked me to ask you too, why did you want to play Kuju? The generals asked about the military examination in the imperial court. Zhang Xiaobao and Wei Wei smiled. The news spread quickly. They picked up a cucumber stick and chewed it. After swallowing it, they said, "Tell His Majesty that it is not only Kuju, but also the shuttlecock that is often played in the palace. The skating and the skating rink, and so on are classified as sports. I will pay more attention in the future, because sports is not only for fun. It can also reflect the general situation of a country. Countries that are in war all year round cannot develop their sports. If they want to play well, they must first have a safe environment." Luo Bin listened attentively, trying his best to remember every word, so that he could reply word for word when he got back. After Zhang Xiaobao finished, he asked from his own perspective, "Little Gongzi, are there other things you can see from sports?" Zhang Xiaobao nodded in appreciation. "Yes, you can see how the people live from sports. There are bicycles in the palace, but they are not available in other places. It is too extravagant. If one day, every county in the Tang Empire can have their own bicycle racing team, what does that mean? It means that the industrial technology of the Tang Empire has reached a certain level. It is easy to own bicycles." Luo Bin responded quickly. He had been a messenger for many years and worked hard to understand the situation of the Tang Empire. He really knew a lot. Yes, if there are many people playing polo, it means that there are too many horses and kuju in the Tang Empire. It is easy to see many people competing in different places, and there are many people watching. This means that the people of the Tang Empire have become richer. At least, they don't have to spend all their time eating and dressing. When you go back and tell His Majesty will understand. In the future, we can invite more sports teams from other countries to compete. If we win, it will boost the confidence of the people of the Tang Empire. It will also give the people of other countries a lack of confidence. No one can stand losing all the time. Zhang Xiaobao explained in detail. Luo Bin thought for a while and admitted, "Yes, young master is right. If the people of any country completely accept defeat, it means that they don't even have the heart to compete with the people of the Tang Empire." That is what young master said to His Majesty before. When a nation widens the gap with another nation, it is part of the result. That's about it. When you go back, tell His Majesty that if he has nothing to do, he can form a team and play with us. The martial arts examination has passed the first month. We are almost done with other things. After Zhang Xiaobao finished speaking, he casually chatted for a while, and then sent Luo Bin out. He believed that Li Longji's football team would not be too bad. He would be able to see a relatively exciting game. The next day, at around 10 o'clock in the morning, Zhang Xiaobao, Wang Wan, and Xiao Bei came to the factory outside the city. Today's field had been renovated yesterday. The soil was first loosened and then compacted. The stones were picked out so that people could step on them without being too soft. Even if they fell, they would not be seriously injured. Only the players of the always victorious team were on the field. The others did not come. Although they also wanted to see Zhang Xiaobao's internal training, they did not dare to. The players were all full of energy. The people who played the game yesterday did not show any signs of fatigue. This showed that they usually trained a lot and were used to it. When Zhang Xiaobao came, he did not talk much nonsense. He directly took a ball from the basket next to him and tiptoed to the field. After looking around, he waved to player number 6. When he came close, he said, "You take the ball and rush forward. I will stand in front of you to block. You find a way to get past me. Got it?" Number 6 took 2 deep breaths and nodded, indicating that he got it. Zhang Xiaobao kicked the ball to him and stepped back 10 steps. He emphasized, "Don't worry about hurting me. Try to show your skills as much as possible, so that I can continue to teach you skills." Number 6's expression relaxed this time. He stopped the ball, stepped back 5 or 6 steps, started a run-up, and then swung his leg and kicked the football with all his strength. With a bang, the football flew high, over Zhang Xiaobao's head, and fell into the distance. It passed. Number 6 said to Zhang Xiaobao's shocked expression, "The ball passed. What about you?" Zhang Xiaobao asked after he recovered. Chapter 984. Hearing Zhang Xiaobao's words, Number 6 understood. He wanted both the ball and the person to pass. He switched to a new ball and placed it a dozen steps away from Zhang Xiaobao. He stepped back again. Without waiting for the ball to start, Zhang Xiaobao said, "Let me say this first. Don't think that if you kick the ball so high, you can run in front of me to chase the ball. That way, I will definitely reach the ball before you. And I have to tell you, when I play in the future, one of my teammates will appear a certain distance behind me. If you really kick the ball far away, even if I don't chase, you won't be able to catch up. Of course, if it's a game and I'm a defender, I won't give you the chance to position the ball unless it's a foul. Don't expect to be able to easily kick the ball." Oh. Number 6 further understood that Zhang Xiaobao was not competing with him in terms of speed. He wanted him to use the same method as yesterday to trick people. Since that was the case, there was no need for a run-up. He stood behind the ball and looked at Zhang Xiaobao. He kicked forward little by little. When he was about 6 steps away from Zhang Xiaobao, he suddenly swung his leg back to make a shooting pose. He paused for about half a second before his right leg fell. However, it was the back of his right foot that pushed the ball away. When he looked up at Zhang Xiaobao again, Zhang Xiaobao's position had moved. Wei Wei moved half a step to the left. Her upper body relaxed and her legs were slightly bent. Number 6 had to repeat the action again. Zhang Xiaobao still moved half a step. Little Gongzi, why don't you come and steal it? Number 6 asked helplessly. Because I'm not stupid. There's not enough time for me to tackle the ball. I just need to make you unable to pass. There's no need to steal. Otherwise, I'll lose my position and the teammates behind me will be in danger. Zhang Xiaobao said loudly to number 6. In fact, he was saying this to everyone except for Wang Wan. Number 6 was even more helpless. He lowered his head and thought for a moment. Then, he took a deep breath and lightly tapped the ball in front of him. Suddenly he sped up, his eyes fixed on Zhang Xiaobao's leg. Just when he thought that Zhang Xiaobao would rush forward to snatch the ball, he found that Zhang Xiaobao was retreating with small, quick steps. Suddenly, he felt that the distance he had imagined to break through had changed. He hesitated, but his body was still charging forward. At this moment, Zhang Xiaobao suddenly stretched his right foot forward, his body leaning back to the ground. Before number 6's foot touched the ball, he first tackled the ball. With his hand on the ground again, he got up and dribbled the ball away, directly shoveling the ball for number 6. Wow, big brother is amazing. Xiaobei cheered for her brother, who was covered in mud. Wang Wan rubbed her feet on the ground. She was afraid that Zhang Xiaobao would bruise himself. This was not a lawn. Fortunately, there were no large grains of sand on the ground, and Zhang Xiaobao was wearing pants. Again, Zhang Xiaobao kicked the ball back. Use your brain to play football. Don't think that others will do as you think. How would I know that I can still retreat? Number 6 muttered. Once again, he prepared to dribble the ball past people. Calculating what Zhang Xiaobao would do, he walked forward little by little. When he walked to a certain distance, Zhang Xiaobao stepped back again. Number 6's eyes turned. He first made a feint to shoot the ball, then made a poke motion. It was still a feint. Suddenly, he kicked the ball diagonally to the left with his right foot, and started to chase. However, this time, Zhang Xiaobao did not move to the left at all. Instead, he turned around and blocked number 6 behind him. He caught the ball first and snatched it under his feet. Xiaobei's cheers naturally came from the side of the field. Little Gongzi, why didn't you move to the left this time? Number 6 was depressed. Because your shoulders didn't move, so your center of gravity also didn't move. Even if you're making a feint, you have to make it more realistic. Again, Zhang Xiaobao kicked the ball over. No, little Gongzi, you can pass me. I can also make you unable to pass. Number 6 felt that the defending side had the advantage on the field, so he passed the ball back, intending to save some face. Xiaobei asked his sister beside him, "Brother is attacking. Can he pass?" At that moment, Wang Wan knew that Zhang Xiaobao still had some skills that he had not shown to her. Based on the two actions of grabbing the ball and reaction speed just now, Zhang Xiaobao had at least a period of professional practice. Therefore, she said to Xiaobei with confidence, "In theory, the attacking side can use more than 10 methods to pass people. I just don't know how many your brother has mastered. Let's see." "Oh, so many? I think my brother can use at least 3. Xiaobei really wanted to say that his brother could use all of them, but he was worried that his words would be too full of himself. Zhang Xiaobao also placed a distance of more than 10 steps. He first asked number 6 if he was ready. The moment number 6 agreed, Zhang Xiaobao suddenly moved. He first kicked the ball a distance of more than 4 meters. And at the same time, his body's speed also approached that of a 100-meter dash. Then, his left foot kicked the ball to his left, and his body suddenly went around number 6's left side. Before number 6 could react, the ball had already passed him. Xiaobei, this is the simplest way to break through. When the forward dribbles the ball and rushes up, all the defenders can only do 2 actions. One is to retreat, not giving the forward a chance to break through their defensive position, and limit the forward's angle of shooting. Wang Wan also said loudly to her sister. Other people might not understand the logic behind it just by looking. What's the other action? Xiaobei asked very cooperatively. Foul. Don't hesitate to use any means to bring down the forward. Once the forward with both speed and skill dribbles the ball and rushes up, Even if there are 3 defenders facing him, no one will dare to easily intercept the ball. It's best to pull him down and slow him down. If you can avoid tackling, don't tackle. Wang continued to explain. Number 6 on the field was stunned. It was too fast. He stood there and gasped for breath. Little Gongzi, you're close. Put the ball further away and bring it over. I'll definitely be able to stop it. Put it more than 25 steps away. Are you sure you want me to put it further away? Zhang Xiaobao asked. Yes. Number 6 nodded vigorously. Okay. I'll let you see what it looks like if it's further away. Zhang Xiaobao held back his laughter and put the ball about 25 steps away from number 6. Wang was on the sidelines. It's over. Didn't number 6 hear what I said just now? Xiao Bei and the others didn't completely understand why they couldn't let the forward rush up. At the same time, they watched curiously. Zhang Xiaobao himself took another 10 steps back. He pulled up his pants and accelerated forward. When his feet touched the ball, his speed was even faster than before. At the same time, his upper body began to swing left and right. His 2 legs were wide apart. Every time he touched the ball, he would adjust his posture. When he quickly approached the retreating number 6, his body suddenly swayed to the left. The range was very large. Number 6 hurriedly blocked to his right. The result was needless to say. Zhang Xiaobao swayed to the right and passed over the ball. Number 6 wanted to go back, but the result was that he fell down with a thud. This is called the pendulum pass. You've all seen the clock. It's made long ago. When the body swings, it's like a pendulum, making it impossible for the defender to accurately judge. In fact, there's no way to judge at all. They can only guess. If they happen to be able to block it, it's luck because the attacker's pendulum movement isn't fixed and can be adjusted at any time. Wang continued to be the commentator. As everyone listened, their eyes widened. It could actually be done like this. Zhang Xiaobao continued. This time, although he didn't swing as violently, he was still swinging. Then, he would step over the ball with his left foot, and then step over with his right foot. Number 6 watched. He couldn't tell which foot Zhang Xiaobao was going to use to move the ball. In the end, he was swayed and fell down. This is called cycling. It looks very simple, but it's not easy to practice because it's hard to control your rhythm and speed. Every feint can become a real move. It just depends on how the defender reacts. Wang's role hadn't changed. She was still introducing. Again. Slow down a little. I can definitely block it. Number 6 was passed again and again. Each time it was different. He was very unconvinced. Okay. This time, Zhang Xiaobao's speed wasn't as fast, but it wasn't slow either. He rushed over with the ball. When he was close to number 6, his left foot pulled the ball back, and his body turned halfway to block number 6. His right foot dribbled the ball, and his body continued to turn. His left foot kicked the ball past number 6. This is called the Masai, Xiaobao spin. It's a method of forcefully breaking through the body's blocking position. Wang hesitated for a moment. In the end, she didn't say the real name of this move. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to explain it. Again. Number 6. This is called the tail flick. It's a move to confuse the opponent. First, you move the ball in one direction, usually the outer instep. Then you use the inner part of your foot to flick the ball in the opposite direction. Wang. Again. Number 6. This is called the turnaround to flick the ball. You have to be careful. If your reaction is slow, it's easy for the opponent to turn around first. The key is to lean as hard as possible, so that the opponent can't adjust his balance. Wang. Again. Number 6. This is called the back flick the ball. It's one foot in front of you, and one foot behind you. Then, you flick the ball from your back to your front, which is the back of the defender. Then you circle around him. If the opponent is taller or more agile than you, it's best not to use this move. It's too obvious. Wang. Again. This is called. On the field, Zhang Xiaobao used different moves to circle around number 6 again and again. Wang patiently explained it to everyone. Xiao Bei and the others were dumbfounded by what they saw and heard. It was just dribbling the ball around a person. There were so many moves. It was an eye-opener. As the commentator, Wang Wan had her eyes wide open. She did not expect Zhang Xiaobao to be able to execute every move so smoothly and naturally. Although there was also the cooperation of defender number 6, Zhang Xiaobao had indeed executed them in a very standard manner, just like a textbook. Only standard movements could be easily learned, but improvisation was another matter altogether. When Zhang Xiaobao made a sudden stop and change direction movement to shake number 6, he finally stopped and said, "That's about it. I'm a little stupid, so I don't know much. Later, I'll do a few more slow moves. Once everyone learns it, you have to practice diligently. Don't stick to the form. You have to be flexible. Not only can you do it yourself, but you also have to be able to see if others are going to do it. That's it for today. I'll do a few slow moves for everyone. Next time, we'll talk about the key points of formation and individual positions." The players were so shocked by Zhang Xiaobao's humble words that they wanted to find a rope to hang themselves on. One by one, they bowed their heads and stood respectfully. They watched Zhang Xiaobao practice the slow moves over and over again. They secretly swore to themselves that once they learned it, they would be able to win glory for the ever-victorious team. Wang Wan watched from the side and said worriedly, "Don't think about practicing all the moves smoothly at once. Practice selectively according to your own conditions. If you practice one move well, it will be enough for you to make waves on the field. The most important thing is the basic moves. Xiaobao, go back and write a training plan." Xiao Bei and the other 9 people watched excitedly. Even Jun Air and Pan Air were affected by the atmosphere. They found a ball and chased after it, giggling from time to time. "We have to close off the training," Zhang Gang suddenly said. Xiao Bei and the other 8 people nodded quickly. Xiao Bei said, "Yes, close off. We can't let others learn it. These are the moves that Big Brother taught us. It's amazing. Reselect the substitutes and let them play blindly with others first. When our training here is done, I'll let them see the power of our ever-victorious team." When number 6 heard Xiao Bei's words, he immediately promised, "We will be on the ever-victorious team in the future. If we really leave one day, we promise not to spread the news and not to play for other teams." The other players also promised. They felt their own insignificance. Even if the ever-victorious team did not look for them, they could just find a random team to play for and nurture them. They already had so many skills just to pass people. There were also defensive skills that had not been taught. There were also the skills of setting up the formation. With so many skills taught to them, if they leaked it, it would be a betrayal. Even if Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not teach them a lesson, they would still be criticized behind their backs. Their expressions made Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan not know what to do. They did not care if someone leaked the skills. It was not industrial or agricultural skills. In sports competitions, there was never a winning strategy. If there was an undefeated strategy, then there was no competition. If there was no competition, then there was no defeat. The purpose of the competition was to win. The spirit of sports was to work hard and cooperate. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan never thought that the spirit of sports was health and peace. That was definitely a lie. In the beginning, the various sports were related to war, such as long-distance running and polo. One was the transmission of information, and the other was the application of weapons and horsemanship. There were also discus, javelin, shot put, bow and arrow shooting, and so on. However, later on, everyone knew how to do and say different things, so a part of the projects that were not directly aimed at war were derived. However, the essence of its creation did not change. The two felt that it was not good to always win in their own country. When the time came, other people would not play with them, but they could not directly tell the team members. They could go and talk about it. If they revealed the skills, wouldn't that be pouring cold water on them? They could only hope that other teams would be smarter and learn after seeing it. At noon, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had a working lunch with the team members. It was a lunchbox, not a lunchbox. Zhang Xiaobao specially asked people to prepare wine. When everyone was seated, he raised his glass first. Seeing that everyone is so enthusiastic, I would like to toast to everyone. You have to work hard to train and study skills. Cheers. The players were very excited. They raised their glasses and drank. Today, not only did they learn skills, but they could also eat with Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. They usually ate with the emperor. But, Zhang Xiaobao said again when everyone finished drinking. As soon as these two words came out, the team members became serious. However, you can only drink 1 glass of wine. In the future, you are not allowed to drink at ordinary times, and you are not allowed to drink too much. Our team wants to develop professionally. From tomorrow onwards, your work and rest time, what you eat, and the amount of training will be strictly limited. Every 7 days, you will be given a day off. In the absence of a game, you will go home to see your parents. If you are married, you will see your wife and children. I will give you a bottle of wine. You can drink at most 1 bottle. Remember to bring the glass bottle back. When Zhang Xiaobao's hand reached here, everyone laughed. Wang Wan added, Bei Bei and the others will arrange a place for you to sleep and train alone. You are not allowed to gamble in the dormitory, and you are not allowed to go out to find or call the women in the brothel. Bei Bei and the others will prepare everything for you, including underwear, shoes, and so on. There will also be a lot of wages. You have to spend the rest of your time on training or thinking about your skills. If you are bored, we will arrange entertainment for you. You are not allowed to sneak out to show off to other women. The real time to show off is when you score a goal on the field, when you intercept and save the opponent's tricky ball. The shouts and cheers of the audience on the field will be more pleasant than the moans of women. The players did not dare to laugh at this time. Some of them had done such things before. After playing the game, they would go to the brothel to brag. As a woman, Wang Wan's words could be understood as a threat. This was because she had another name, Demon Fiend Cuckoo. One by one, they put down their chopsticks and sat there, not daring to move as they listened to the lecture. Bei Bei saw that there was an awkward silence, and very sensibly interjected. Drink another glass of wine. It is not very strong. I only drank it in a daze. If you think that the requirements are too strict, you can leave after eating. I will give you more money. Everyone shook their heads. If they left such an opportunity, they would regret it for life. Since you are not willing to leave, I am very happy. Bei Bei still spoke like an adult. What I want to say is that my brother and sister are involved. You represent the face of the Zhang family and the Wang family. You can lose the game. I allowed you to lose the first 3 games because I saw their hard work and training. What's my name again? Oh, I remember. Even if you lose, you have to lose with dignity. I am willing to lose because my strength and luck are not as good as yours. I don't want to lose because you did not train hard. That will make me very angry, and the consequences are very serious. Xiao Yuan added. Let me say it. Bei Bei glared at Xiao Yuan. The players could not help but laugh again. After lunch, they rested for a while. In the afternoon, Zhang Xiaobao continued to talk about the techniques of dribbling the ball past people. It was just the movements, not the psychology, coordination, and so on. Those content had to be taken slowly. For the next few days, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had been busy with other things in the morning and came to train in the afternoon. Their progress was very fast, but the team members did not understand. They just wanted to let them have a concept first. Half a month later, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had more or less settled everything. They planned to have a military examination with the generals, and then go to the original Turkic Khaganate. Li Longji sent someone to deliver a message. Xiao Bao, they said that they want to play a game with us first before having a military examination. Wang Wan said to Zhang Xiaobao while holding a piece of paper with words written on it, or what was called a letter of challenge. Zhang Xiaobao was very surprised. Haven't they been anxious to compete? Now that we are competing, they want to wait a little longer. This shows that they are smarter. If they really agree to compete directly, their momentum and mentality will be at a disadvantage. A game is to tell us that they are not anxious, to let us understand that we cannot steal the will of a general, and that we cannot steal the courage of an ordinary man. Do you want to compete? Wang Wan smiled and shook the piece of paper as she spoke. Compete? I can even guess why they want to compete. It's probably because they see that winning and losing is very common for us, so they came up with a method to beat us. Then they can enter the military examination, and suppress us in terms of momentum. That's fine too. I want to see what kind of formation they can come up with. Zhang Xiaobao did not care at all. The team that had participated in the competition recently was the substitute team that had been recruited. The main team was currently in closed-door training. Although the time was short, it was still longer than the time the generals had to prepare. Fine, let's compete. Wang Wan wrote a reply to the letter of challenge. Li Longji received the letter of challenge. In truth, he also wanted to win once. He just happened to discuss with the generals and came up with a formation that he felt was very good. The next day, the competition began. Lawn, real lawn. The Sanongsi had been forced to make it. They had sent horses to the south to bring back the soil and raise it in a large shed. This was Zhang Xiaobao's initial idea, and it just happened to come in handy. The grass was indeed not very formal, but it was still a lawn after all. Even if it froze to death after one use, it was worth it. Platforms were set up around the field. There were many spectators, all wearing thick clothes. The generals surrounded Li Longji and led the team into the field. In order to reduce the burden, they had dressed the team in thin clothes. They had previously understood the situation of the always victorious team and were full of confidence. But when the always victorious team appeared, Li Longji was stunned. He did not recognize any of them. Could it be that the portrait was not accurate? He had already understood everyone, so why was it not the same? The generals were also stunned. The always victorious team was wrapped in thick clothes. It did not look like they were here to compete, but to see who wore more clothes. Could it be that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had given up? This time, Zhang Xiaobao became the commentator and started talking nonsense. While he was talking nonsense, the members of his own team started warming up. First, they put on their clothes and did some exercises. Then they took off their clothes, revealing their trousers and short sleeves. Each of them was wearing knee pads and leggings, and the shoes on their feet were different from usual. Li Longji and the generals started to feel uneasy. They could feel a different temperament from the members of the two teams. Everyone on his side was arrogant and acted like they were the best in the world. On the other hand, the other side was very calm and did not show any signs of arrogance. They were quietly and seriously doing all kinds of exercises. Li Shi, the situation doesn't look good. Li Longji could feel the pressure coming from the always victorious team from the stands. It was an aura that could only be felt from the vigorous protection team and the Golden Guards. To be precise, they were as immovable as mountains. Gao Lishir nodded repeatedly. Your Majesty, are we still going to compete? Yes. I and the generals have come up with a special formation. Are you afraid of them? Li Longji was looking forward to the formation helping them win. As such, the members of the two teams stood in the middle of the field and greeted the audience first. Then they played a coin toss. Both teams got into formation. Zhang Xiaobao's team got the ball, while the other team got the field. The other team got into position first. Needless to say, the goalkeeper only had one position. As for the other 10 players, 8 of them rushed to the front, while the other 2 stayed near the goalkeeper, forming a 208 formation. This was much better than the previous formation, where all 10 players rushed forward together. Li Longji and the generals had researched this formation together. It had both offense and defense. But when the always victorious team got into position, they were really confused. There were 4 players at the back, 5 in the middle, and 1 in the front. The 1 in the front was the number 6 player, and the 5 in the middle were on the left and right. Wei Wei was in a forward position and looked like she was ready to assist at any time. Chapter 985. When Li Longji and the other generals saw the ever-victorious formation on the field, their hearts skipped a beat. Then they realized the beauty of it. Everyone knew how to set up a formation, and they could tell by looking at the formation. Of course, for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, the other side only knew a thing or two. Zhang Xiaobao did not want to set up a 4-5 formation. He really wanted to set up a 3-3-4 formation. But whether it was the defensive or offensive players, their skills did not meet the requirements. So he could only choose a formation with stronger midfielders and defenders. When the time came, they could win through changes. Especially at the beginning, the midfielders had to withstand the pressure. He estimated that Li Longji would be able to set up a 50-5 formation with a balance of offense and defense. He did not expect the situation on the field to be like this. He was a little regretful. If he had known, he would have put 2 defenders in a 3-4-3 formation. 3 forwards against 2 defenders. That would be a piece of cake. However, Wang Wan felt that it was okay. At least the midfielders could support at any time. If number 6 played well, it would be too difficult for 2 defenders and a goalkeeper to stop him. Zhang Xiaobao taught him the moves to bypass people. Any number 6 could perfectly grasp them. It would be too easy for him to score a goal. Wang Wan was only worried about Zhang Xiaobao's voice, because Zhang Xiaobao said that he wanted to commentate for real this time. The so-called real commentary was not understanding the situation. It was just 2 people talking in the vernacular. The vernacular was a bunch of nonsense to show how knowledgeable they were. It showed how much they understood football. No, it was a way to understand the situation on the field, just by listening to the commentator's words. It was a very old way. It was so old that there were no televisions and only radio. But that was real commentary. It could move the audience's emotions, and not force the people watching the game to turn off the sound. Will brother be tired? Xiao Bei was also very worried. Yes, but it will definitely be exciting. Your brother pursues perfection. He will definitely not be unable to keep up with the commentary, and then mention how his grandfather was. He will also not make an obviously wrong argument, and then shamelessly change his words, when he finds out that the facts are different from what he said. Wang Wan scolded the previous commentator in her heart for spouting so much nonsense during the competition. She started talking to Xiao Bei. Sure enough, Zhang Xiaobao began to use the most basic of explanations to express himself. He spoke very quickly, but also very clearly. The victorious team kicked off. Number 5, who was standing in the center circle, passed the ball directly to number 9 on the opposite side. Number 9 took the ball and passed through 4 people on the other side to number 6's feet. Number 6 received the ball and broke through. Number 6 broke through the last 4 of the 8 strikers on the other side. Dribbling and attacking. Number 6 was attacking. The 8 opposing forwards were turning around to chase. The opposing back, number 11, had already approached. Number 12, as the back, was still hesitating. Number 11 approached. Number 6 made a feint to the left. Number 11 rushed to his right. Number 6 took advantage of this opportunity to dribble the ball past number 11's left. The opposing defender, number 12, started to tackle the ball and fell to the ground to tackle the ball. He actually knew how to fall to the ground to tackle the ball. Number 6 jumped up with the ball between his legs and dodged. Was this the legendary Toad jumping over people? Beautiful. Number 6 was already facing the opposing goalkeeper. The goalkeeper pounced towards number 6. Number 6 pulled to the right and raised his leg to shoot. When he was about 20 meters away from the goal, he raised his leg and shot. The ball flew straight towards the top right corner of the goal. It absolutely spun. The ball went in. Number 6 single-handedly broke through, passing through 4 forwards and 2 defenders. Facing the goalkeeper, he successfully scored a goal. Following Zhang Xiaobao's fast and passionate commentary, the entire stadium stood up and cheered like a tide. Li Longji also stood up and waved his fists with all his might. He was waving his fists for the individual skills of number 6 of the victorious team, as well as for Zhang Xiaobao's commentary. At this moment, he finally felt the charm of Kuju. This was the elegance of taking the head of the enemy's general on the battlefield. Number 6's continuous breakthroughs were so beautiful that it made people unable to suppress the surge of emotions in their hearts. After waving his fists, Li Longji finally realized that it was the opposing team that had scored, not his team. He could only sit back down and say to Gao Lisher, who had stood up and was still in a daze. Lisher, we lost the first goal. Sit back down. We know that your adopted son is good, and that daughter-in-law of yours is also good. You don't have to stand there and let the wind blow on you. Gao Lisher was really excited. When the victorious team formed a 4-5 formation, He started to get excited. When the 10 of them stood in front, it gave people a pleasing feeling. When he saw number SAX's strong breakthrough, and his adopted son's passionate commentary, the instant the ball went in, he hated that he couldn't rush to his adopted son's side and give him 2 big kisses. It was too beautiful. In Xiao Bei's words, it was too handsome. This was his adopted son and daughter-in-law. They were a pair of swords and could do anything. They could play kuju so brilliantly. If the 2 of them were serious, they would be invincible and invincible. It was a kind of feeling that people would never doubt. It was a kind of, His Majesty seemed to have lost. Gao Lisher found a very important problem, and sat back down to Li Longji's side. He said insincerely, "Luck, Your Majesty, they were lucky. We don't care. Whether it's luck or ability, it's a manifestation of ability. Look at the victorious team. Our 10,000 generals team has started." When Li Longji spoke, his eyes were fixed on number 6 of the victorious team. How could he run so fast? Why did the ball he kicked have a curve when he shot? How would the goalkeeper defend? Zhang Xiaobao was very responsible. He didn't have any biased thoughts, and just explained objectively. When the opposing 10,000 generals team kicked off, they were still surging with passion. Now let's go back to the midfield. The 10,000 generals team that lost a goal will kick off. Our 8 forwards of the 10,000 generals team have already stood in position. Looking at the momentum, there is a faint pressure on the victorious team that has scored a goal. When the ball kicked off, number 21 of the 10,000 generals team raised his leg and passed the ball to number 15 of the other team. Number 15 dribbled the ball to attack. Number 1 of the opposing team intercepted. Number 15 was the captain. Number 15 kicked the ball forward, and the ball passed through number 1 of the opposing team. Number 15 chased after it. Just as he was about to catch up, number 20 of the opposing team received the ball first. Number 20 dribbled the ball to attack from the backfield. The 8 forwards of the 10,000 generals team rushed up. Number 15 was the closest. He was about to touch number 20 of the opposing team. Number 20 of the opposing team passed the ball back to the goalkeeper at the crucial moment. The goalkeeper received the ball and didn't stop. He kicked the ball, and the ball flew to the left side of the midfield of the victorious team. The left midfielder was number 14 of the victorious team. Number 14 stopped the ball. Was he going to dribble the ball to attack? No, he didn't. He immediately passed the ball to number 6 in front of him. Because there was no one around number 6 to defend, the ball was passed to the back. Number 6 didn't jump up and try to catch the ball with his head. Instead, he turned and accelerated. Number 6 was still accelerating. The ball flew in front of him and immediately reached the opposing team's penalty area. Number 12 of the opposing team came out this time. Number 12 once again made a tackle action. What would number 6 do? What would he do? Oh, he raised his foot to receive the ball. The ball stopped. He actually used his left foot to receive the ball and stopped it. Beautiful. The opponent's number 12 slipped by himself. He slid far away. He was running too fast just now and couldn't stop. Wow. Number 11 came out. The first defender to come out just now rushed out. What was he going to do? He actually raised his leg to kick the head of number 6 of the victorious team. Number 6 bowed his head and dodged. He continued to dribble the ball forward. Once again, he faced the goalkeeper. Number 6 shot the ball, upper left corner. Oh. Feint. He retracted his foot. The goalkeeper fell to the ground. Number 6 took another step forward. Adjusting. Yes, he was adjusting. The right foot pushed inside. The ball went in. The ball went in again. The always victorious team's number 6 scored again. Hello audience friends. Now on the field is a match between the victorious team organized by the Tang dynasty's Inspector Zhang Xiaobai and the 10,000 Generals football team, organized by the Tang dynasty's generals. The current situation is that less than a quarter of an hour after the start of the match, the victorious team is leading 2 o'clock. They are temporarily in the lead. Number 6 of the team has scored 2 goals in a row. After Zhang Xiaobao finished speaking, he wiped his sweat. The audience was still cheering, and accompanied by the applause that they had learned from Zhang Xiaobai and Wang family. Applause sounded everywhere. Countless girls shouted number 6. At this moment, the teams that had won and lost against the victorious team in the past half-month also understood that the other team was not playing with them seriously. The strong players were only on the field today. The formation was already in place. This was the real strength of the victorious team. All the generals stared with their eyes wide open. What kind of mess was this? It was fine when the other team was attacking, but why did it become the other team's goal after a few moves? While many people were happy, Xiaobei could not take it anymore. He stood up and walked over to Li Longji angrily. He pouted and asked, "Uncle Emperor, let me ask you. Is it a battle or a soccer match? If you say battle, I will immediately change the player. I will change the player for the seedling protection team. If you say soccer, you can change the player and change number 11 from your side. I will not count as your substitution. If you don't have the ability, then don't play. Why do you have to play dirty? Who isn't raised by their parents? Is there a need to kick someone to death? If you really want to do that, can we just admit defeat? We won't play anymore." Li Longji's face turned red from Xiaobei's words. He had also seen the actions of number 11 from his side. It was too embarrassing. If the ball was really flying in the sky, you could just raise your leg and kick it. The problem was that when number 6 was dribbling, the ball was below. You kicked it above your head. Are you a sore loser? Stop. Li Longji could not stand Xiaobei's gaze, and he could not convince himself. He shouted, and someone immediately used the microphone to stop the match. Li Longji reached out for the microphone and said, "Number 11 from the 10,000 Generals team, get off the field and give him 20 lashes. In the future, you are not allowed to touch Kuju. If someone else comes up, you can make a technical foul or accidentally touch someone. But I don't want you to cross the bottom line of morality." Number 11 from the 10,000 Generals team got off the field. He did not roll off the field by himself, but was dragged off by someone else because his legs were weak. The emperor had personally said 20 lashes. Even if he did not die, he would at least lose a layer of his skin. All the generals had ugly expressions on their faces. They were not afraid of losing the match, but they were afraid of losing their morale. Number 11 had violated the rules. How would Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan view them? If Zhang Xiaobao added that the 10,000 Generals team's players were carefully selected by the generals, when he was commentating, would they still be able to live? Fortunately, the commentator, Zhang Xiaobao, was very professional and did not mock them. Instead, he took a sip of water and explained, "Number 11 from the 10,000 Generals team violated the professional ethics of the game and was personally kicked off the field by His Majesty. The one who replaced him is number 13, a very spirited young man. Let me take this opportunity to explain why the referee did not blow the whistle just now. It was because number 6 from the attacking side had dodged, and the situation was in the attacking side's favor. If he had not dodged, the whistle would have sounded." While Zhang Xiaobao was commentating, Xiaobei ran back into the field, trying to find someone to talk to. In the end, he was kicked out by the referee, so he ran back to Li Longji and snatched the microphone. "I'm Zhang Xiaobei. What happened just now was an accident. His Majesty was not biased. So, to the players of the 10,000 Generals team, don't feel burdened. Just play as you should and when you should. Thank you, referee, for not kicking me off the field. Thank you." The audience applauded again and cheered for Xiaobei. Friends in the audience, players on the field, I just heard my sister's voice. She is still so cute and sensible. Just as she said, let's play without any psychological burden. The ball kicked off at halftime. Number 15 from the 10,000 Generals team still dribbled the ball forward. Similarly, number 1 from the opponent came up to fight for the ball. Number 15 did not kick forward this time. Instead, he used his heel to knock the ball back to his own team. He plugged in alone. Number 9 of the 10,000 Generals team received the pass from number 15 and moved diagonally to the left of the attacking side. He wanted to play on the flank, and the other 6 players cooperated with him to rush to the flank. The 2 midfielders of the victorious team chased back. The rightmost midfielder, number 4, was already in position in advance. He made a move to grab the ball. Number 9 swayed past. The right back of the victorious team met him, and the center back made up the position. Number 9 of the 10,000 Generals team suddenly accelerated. His right foot moved horizontally, and he moved horizontally. He got rid of the 2 midfielders of the victorious team. He was still dribbling the ball to break through. He passed the ball. He raised his foot to make a long pass. Oh, the ball flew toward the victorious team's goal, where number 15 of the 10,000 Generals team was. Number 15 received the ball. He got the ball. The referee's whistle sounded. Oh, the side referee raised the flag. Number 15 of the 10,000 Generals team was offside. He ran ahead of time to a place 10 steps behind the victorious team's back, and then received the pass. Zhang Xiaobao's voice was as passionate and nervous as ever. Some of the spectators cheered while some sighed. All the generals were dejected. They thought they could score a goal, but it turned out that they were offside. No wonder number 15 on their side had taken the ball so easily. The opposing defender was too bad. Why did you run forward? Li Longji frowned and said, I remember now. Kuju is the art of war. It's just that I played it too casually, and forgot all about it. A good soldier, such as number 6, with a good formation, has a strong offensive power. Isn't that right, Lisher? Lisher, why don't you go sit on the other side? Which side are you on? Gao Lisher was still in a state of excitement. It was not easy for the 10,000 generals to have a chance, but they were actually offside. It was really too delightful. When he heard the emperor's words, he once again wanted to wake up. He should be sad because the formation was figured out by the emperor and the generals. He had to side with the emperor. Your Majesty, I was too excited just now. I thought number 15 could score a goal. When you said that, I just remembered that he was offside. Sigh. What a pity. It would be strange if Li Longji believed him. Just as he was about to speak, Zhang Xiaobao's voice sounded again. The ever-victorious team serves. The center back makes a long pass to the left side of the midfield. Most of the 10,000 Generals team is still on the right side of the ever-victorious team. They use the speed of a 100-meter dash to the left side. The ball comes to number 14, the left midfielder of the ever-victorious team. He does not pass the ball directly this time. He dribbles the ball forward. Number 6 takes a look and runs diagonally to the middle. Number 4, the right midfielder of the ever-victorious team, who had just returned to defend, also accelerates forward. The 3 of them run toward the opposing ball together. There are no opposing players behind them for a long distance. There are only 2 defenders and a goalkeeper in front of them. The first captain of the victorious team, who was in the center midfielder position, also rushed up, and the center back filled in the middle of the field. From the 4-5 when defending to the 3-3-1 when attacking, the victorious team completed the formation change in an instant. The 2 defenders of the 10,000 Generals team seem to have a tacit understanding. Number 12 goes out to block number 14, who dribbles the ball forward, while number 13, who is newly brought in, goes to meet number 6, the forward of the ever-victorious team. Number 12 was close, and number 14 passed the ball. With a long horizontal pass, the ball flew to the top of number 6's head. Number 6 squatted slightly. He was about to jump up to receive the ball. No, he suddenly used the momentum to rush forward and blocked the opposing defender, number 13. The ball passed over, and with a curve, the ball flew towards the side of the 10,000 Generals. Here is number 4 of the ever-victorious team. He is still some distance away from the landing point of the ball. He roars to the sky and swings his upper body vigorously. He accelerates and catches up. He does not stop the ball. He swings his leg, and the ball spins toward the goal of the 10,000 Generals team. No, it is flying toward number 6. Number 6 has just completed a reverse offside. Number 13 of the 10,000 Generals team is trying to compete with number 6 for position. Number 6 jumps up first to head the ball. He heads the ball, and the ball flies in the direction of the ever-victorious team. Oh, number 1 of the center back. Number 6 is passing to number 1. Number 1 stops the ball with his chest and dribbles the ball forward. Number 6 gets rid of the opposing defender number 13 and runs horizontally. Number 13 goes to number 1 to grab the ball again. Number 1 passes the ball to number 4, who is running toward the middle. Number 4 shoots. The goalkeeper pounces. Number 6 heads the ball and shoots. He falls down and the ball is held by the goalkeeper. The whistle for the goal sounded. The ball is in. The goalkeeper of the 10,000 Generals team is very good at holding the table. He firmly holds the ball in the goal. The ever-victorious team is now leading the 10,000 Generals team by 3 o'clock. The 10,000 Generals team kicks off again. The ball is suddenly snatched by number 1 of the ever-victorious team and stuffed straight to number 6 in the front. Number 6 receives the ball. He raises his leg. He kicks the ball out of the boundary. Oh, I see. A member of the 10,000 Generals team, number 26, fell to the ground. He holds his leg and falls to the ground. Number 6 of the ever-victorious team saw someone on the sidelines make a gesture and kicked the ball out of the boundary. He gave up an attack. The doctors of Dei Hospital, who are always on standby on the sidelines, entered the field. When Zhang Xiaobao said this, his voice sounded lower. After all, someone is injured. It is not suitable to be too passionate. The doctors made a gesture and said that there is no big problem. It will not affect number 26 to continue to play in the future. Wait a moment. When number 26 is carried out and replaced, the game will continue. When the audience saw that there was no big problem, they shouted again, "Ever victorious, number 6, ever victorious, number 6. The generals knew that the audience was not saying that number 6 played well, but they were saying that the ever-victorious team had the bearing. The game could have continued, but number 6 did not hesitate to kick away a ball that should have had a chance to score after receiving the gesture from the people on the sidelines. Compared with number 11 of the 10,000 Generals team just now, it could be said that there was a world of difference. Number 6 was the king of the field at this moment, and the ever-victorious team was naturally the king's team. The generals were almost suffocated by this invisible aura. Bei hugged Wang Wan's arm and said, "Sister, we will definitely win. The players are very good. When the game is over, I decide to double the bonus, okay?" "Okay." Wang Wan nodded. She had to admit that she could not find any fault. It was not because of the victory, but because of the cooperation of the players, number 6's breakthrough, and the assists of the two flanks. In just more than half a month, even if the original players had a little foundation and a breakthrough in personal skills, it was not surprising. The main thing was the change in their formation. Just now there was no one to command them. They could give people a very normal feeling, turning the 4-5-5 formation into a 3-3-1-3 formation. From a distance, it was very simple. It was just a running position. But from the field, to be able to make such accurate judgments and cooperate with such tacit understanding, it could only mean one thing. Other than sleeping, eating, exercising, and training, the players spent all the rest of their time on studying the evolution of the formation. Wang Wan could even imagine the scene at that time. It must have been the main team and the substitute team gathering, constantly deducing, and then on the field to compare. How much effort did they have to put in to make their performance so natural on the field? Wang Wan admitted that when the left midfielder dribbled the ball and rushed forward to sit on the winger, number 4 on the right immediately followed. She felt that she was not watching the game in the Tang Empire. When the first captain of the center midfielder followed suit, and the center back filled the position, she felt that this was an international football game. It was too sharp and too smooth. She believed that even if the opponent was not the midfielder and center back at that time, her team would still play the necessary cooperation. That kind of awareness was not easy to cultivate. It had only been more than half a month. Could it be that they were thinking about it in their sleep? Such players, not to mention winning, even if they lost with a score of 0-100, they should be rewarded. Sometimes spirit was more important than victory. On the field, Li Longji was also very speechless. He was depressed for a while and said to Gao Lishir, "Lishir, admit it now. The team led by Xiaobao and Cuckoo is definitely not bad. Whether it is the military, economic, industrial, agricultural, and other teams, as long as they are there, they will definitely be better than others. Do you admit it?" Yes, yes. Your Majesty is right. Gao Lisher was depressed. Who said that he would not admit it? They are my godson and daughter-in-law. You are the ones who want to compete, not me. I have already admitted when Xiao Bao was very young. Otherwise, would I have acknowledged him as my son? He is smarter, and more sensible than Xiao Bei and the others. Why must you always push the blame to me? It's good that you admit it. However, even if you admit it, we cannot weaken our morale. You have to continue to hold the line with the generals. We will go and see Xiao Bei and the others. Xiao Bei was unhappy just now. Number 11 was too much. We will accompany them and talk. Don't worry about our safety. As Li Longji spoke, he got up and walked towards Xiao Bei and the others. A few guards followed beside him, and their eyes were wide open. Gao Lisher could not say anything. He watched as the emperor walked away and sighed. He quietly muttered, "Of course this subject is not worried. The defense there is only stronger than here. You could have just said that you were going to the winning team. Why did you have to go around in a circle and persuade Xiao Bei? Do Xiao Bei and the others need others to persuade them? They have older brothers and sisters. Can't they persuade them themselves? Could it be that they are going to ask for number 6? That is giving up what is near at hand to seek what is far away." Number 6 was trained by Xiao Bao. The game in the field was still going on. The 10,000 generals team was beaten by the winning team. They did not even have the strength to block, let alone fight back. They were beaten miserably. The 10,000 generals team could not break through the defense line of the winning team at all. Not only did they stand in a good position, but their personal skills were also not bad. They could always play little tricks. Just the habitual action of the defenders, when they were attacked, made the 10,000 generals team feel very uncomfortable. Because retreating did not mean losing, they could also retreat in order to advance. When the 10,000 generals team did not know how important the position was, the other side had already started to move and fill the position. From the beginning of the midfield, there were obviously 9 people. Why did it feel like they were facing the Great Wall? When the other side attacked, they would definitely press forward with all their strength. It was really overwhelming. The most important thing was that at the beginning of the second half, the 10,000 generals team's physical strength was significantly reduced. It was all because of the passing of the winning team. Seeing the winning team score one goal after another, the generals had no way to do anything. What they admired the most was that the winning team's defenders could assist, but there was never a defender who would ask to shoot to score. After the assist, they would retreat. They did not fight for the glory of scoring. But the generals all understood that on the battlefield, defending one's position was the glory. Of course, they also believed that if that, what was it again called, no, the midfielders and forwards could not score, then the defenders and even the goalkeepers would be able to put up a fight and let the team score. It was like the logistics camp of Idyll. It was originally a logistics team, but in a situation where they lost, they could only go deep into the enemy's rear and complete the task of being the vanguard. Watching and thinking, the generals could not calm down. After some discussion, the UG General Zhao Hanzhong stood up and came to Zhang Xiaobao's side. He first smiled at Zhang Xiaobao, then grabbed the microphone and said, "You may not know, but the real commander of the winning team is Zhang Xiaobao. Do you want to see Zhang Xiaobao go down and play? This general is willing to accompany you." The result naturally did not need to be said. The sound of the audience pierced through the clouds. Zhang Xiaobao was stunned at first. Then he smiled and asked indifferently, "General Zhao, do you really want me to go down?" Zhao Hanzhong's heart skipped a beat, but he nodded without confidence. "Yes, I will accompany you." "That's good. Madam, come over and help explain. I will go to the field and accompany General Zhao to play." Zhang Xiaobao waved towards where Wang Wan was. Wang Wan smiled and walked over, taking over the position. When Zhao Hanzhong and Zhang Xiaobao walked onto the field, she advised, "Xiaobao, enough is enough. We have already scored 11 goals. Keep it under 30, okay?" Zhang Xiaobao waved his hand towards the back, replacing a midfielder on the field. He raised his hand and gestured twice. The winning team quickly changed, from 4 to 5 to 4 to 4. Zhang Xiaobao did not stand in the vanguard position. In the vanguard, other than the original number 6, There was also the number 1. He gave the captain's armband to Zhang Xiaobao, and Zhang Xiaobao steadily stood in the center. Wang Wan looked at Zhang Xiaobao's position and began to mourn for him. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.